last chance.
Why'd you let him do that to me? Visions all up in my head, feeling like I'm being abducted. Sitting on this light, while I smoke this pipe, and his hands between my legs. Violated, infuriated, don't know what to do. My mind is racing, whole body shaking, calling out for you. I'm horrified, I can't testify, better not show my face. Cause when I do come in, I'm gonna come to you and take you out in this place. To be midnight sky, lips don't quite that light. Wanna get out, but nobody's around. Lost and it can't be found. Trying to get from around these quarters, treading through this muddy water. Midnight getting out, or I'ma get caught, and I ain't coming back to lie. And who wanna do this to me? Crawling up around, but I can't see. Trying to figure out how this all went down. Love, tell me what's happening to me. Feeling like I'm burning inside, drawing in all of these lights. A voice that could hear what's all in my head. Somebody come rescue me. Started getting, I'm levitating in the sky, and I can't dream is really me looking through my third eye. I'm petrified, I wanna testify, better not show my face. Cause when I do it, I'm gonna come to you and take you out in this place. Cause baby, so oblivious to me. When I was around 5 or maybe 4 years old, my body went cold. Why'd you let him do that to me? Visions all up in my head, feeling like I'm being abducted. Sitting on this light, while I smoke this pipe, and his hands between my legs. Violated, infuriated, don't know what to do. My mind is racing, whole body shaking, calling out for you. I'm horrified, I can't testify, better not show my face. Cause when I do it, I'm gonna come to you and take you out in this place. To be this looks so familiar to me. I wound up back on the street, through a black hole in a different zone, advanced technology flying all around my head. Gotta hope and pray I'm not dead. But then just like that, my eyes went pitch black, and I woke up in my bed. Down to the information in my head. Everybody heard screams from upstairs. Like, it's happening, are you okay? I'm terrified, I wanna testify, I better not show my face. Cause when I do, they're gonna come to you and take you out in the space.
CIA Rebel. That's one of our own. If you don't know that song, remember that's a throwback. That's CIA Rebel. If you don't know her, that's one of our C stars. I love that song. She also does Virgo Love. I think it's called Virgo Love. Oh, her voice is incredible. So that's called Alienated by CIA. Big up to CIA Rebel, part of the crew from back in the way back when I was fresh and new to the YouTube set. So big up to everyone joining. Hey Sid, peace. I saw Oz, you know I came with my lifesaver. Listen, I have I have all the alien, all the fun stuff that has to do with the ETs. I love this. You know, Oz, right? I'm gonna bring this to the conference with me. You know, I buy all the fun stuff. I saw that, I was like, I need a lifesaver in my life. And don't be nasty in your thoughts now. Peace, XS. So, peace to the family. Peace to the east, the west, the north, and the south. And thank you for joining once again for Aquarius Rising, the ninth gate. Today, we're going to have a fantastic show. Of course, we have our masterful, mysterious Mr.Cori joining us, of course, as he should, with the intel on the galactic connection to the Avengers Infiniti Wars. Now, as many of you know, I actually went to go see the movie this weekend, and I had such a strong reaction, and I told Mr.Cori right away what my reaction is, but we won't talk about that right now. Let's kick off the show. You know how we do our shout-outs. I'm not going to make it very long, but I'll make it very sweet. So kick off your state. You know how we do. And we're going to start off a very beautiful, connective way that we always interconnect with each one on each ley line. That's how we feel together in our frequency, and that's how we raise our frequency as a group, collectively. So big up to those in Orlando, Florida, my neck of the woods. Big up to the Tampa, Florida. Big up to Miami. Big up to Dade County, especially in Miami. Big up to those in Naples, Florida. Big up to those in Key West. Big up to those in, of course, in Hollywood, Florida. Big up to Fort Lauderdale, always representing in the house. What's good, Carlos? What's Carlos? Big up to our family in, of course, New Orleans. I never get it right. New Orleans is always representing the house. Big up to Mississippi, Louisiana. Big up to our family in South Kakalaki and North Kakalaki, North Carolina and South Carolina. Big up to our family in Virginia, West Virginia especially, and Virginia Beach. Big up to our family in, of course, Baltimore and Maryland. Big up to our family in ATL and all of Georgia. The Georgia Peaches in the house. Big up to our family going across in Delaware County. Big up to our family in, of course, Jersey, representing, especially Newark. What's good? Big up to our family, of course, in PA, in Allentown, in Nazareth, in Bethlehem. Big up to our family in PA, in Philadelphia. Philly's always represented in the house. What's good? Big up to our family in North Jersey and East Jersey. Big up to our family in of course, going up in New York. Big up to our family in Queens, New York, and BK. What up, Brooklyn? Big up to our family in Manhattan, especially Uptown. What's good? Big up to our family in, of course, Long Island, Strong Island. Where's our homies from Strong Island? They always used to be on the show. They're probably listening right now. We had a couple of gentlemen that they were faithful listeners. They used to listen as a crew. Big up to our family there. Big up to our family in, hey, Tanika. Big up to our family. I thought you said, hey. Don't bring up Bill Cosby tonight. We're not gonna go there. I thought if you put another hey on there, I would have thought that was a joke for Bill Cosby. Big up to our family and of course the Bronx, New York. BX always representing in the house. What's good? Big up to our family and Mount Vernon. What's good, Mount Vernon? That's my old neck of the woods. That's where I grew up in money earning Mount Vernon. Big up to our family in Yonkers. That's how the Latinos say Yonkers. They say Yonkers. Yonkers, New York. Big up to our family in New Rochelle, White Plains. That's Westchester County. Big up to our family in Mahopac, Carmel, Putnam County. Big up to our family in Rockaway County. Big up to our family upstate Utica, Buffalo. Big up to our family in Plattsburgh. Big up to our family in Toronto, Ontario County on the border of Canada. Big up to our family all the way in Canada. Hey, eclectic goddess. Big up to our family going across the border into Canada, especially Vancouver. Big up to our family in Toronto. Big up to our family going back across. Let's go back to the mid part. Big up to our family in Kansas City. Big up to our family in Wichita. Big up to our family in Wisconsin. Big up to our family in Illinois, especially Chicago, the Windy City. Big up to our family in Colorado. Big up to our carpet queen in Colorado. Where you at, Jamie? Jamie's usually on the line from Colorado. Beautiful, the beautiful Colorado. Big up to our family in Texas. Big up to our family in Arizona. Big up to our family in Las Vegas. Big up to our family in San Diego, San Bernardino. Big up to our family in LA, especially our bougies and stishies that are back in Beverly Hills. Big up to our homies back in Beverly Hills, causing a whole lot of ruckus up in that piece. Go ahead, turn it upside down, Nistas. Big up to our family going out to San Francisco. Big up to our family in Hawaii. A big mahalo to Hawaii, especially Morris, who's part of our family, in Honolulu, which is known as Oahu. Big up to our family in Kauai, especially Maui, which is my own neck of the woods as well. Regular Maui, Kauai. Hey, Selma. Peace, peace, peace. Big up to our family in, of course, New Zealand. Big up to our family in Iceland. Big up to our family in the Netherlands, Finland, Holland, Sweden, Switzerland, Amsterdam. Where did I miss? I think I have everything. Big up to our family in Scotland, especially our family that's connected to the Jamaicans in Scotland. So big up to our Jamaican family and our Scottish family. They're kin. Believe it or not, the Scottish actually conquered some pirates. Actually, were over in the Caribbean, mixing and doing seedy, insidious things with the native women, the Arawak and the Carib, and they made some beautiful people. So big up to the Scottish, terrible Vikings and conquerors. Big up to the my Irish sect from especially in Dublin. I love my Irish sect. Big up to Ireland. Big up to our family in Turkey. Big up to our family in France. Big up to our family, especially in Marseille. Big up to my wonderful family, personally in Marseille. Marseille is outside of France, Paris. Big up to our family in Spain, especially in Madrid. We have some people hiding. Patois, right? The Jamaican patois has a lot of Gaelic and Scottish influence. Absolutely. You know your history. I love it. Caribbean history is so rich, and not many get a chance to study it, but you know, it's wonderful to teach your children if you get an opportunity. Big up to our family in Italy, especially in Naples and Venice. Big up to our family in England. UK is always represented. You see, you read my mind, Peace XOX. Big up to the UK. London is always represented in the house. We got our Sea Stars and Sun Stars representing for the English sect. What's good for the proper English? Because apparently, according to the whole world, we speak the most debaucherous English. And I would agree. They speak the Queen's English, which is a little insectilian, isn't it? But we won't go there for this time. Let's go big up to Greece is represented in the house, especially in Athens. Big up to our family in I was gonna say Daros. I was gonna bring up the Daros when I brought up Greece. I'm not gonna go into the Daros tonight. Big up to our family and I got some really good. Hey Shannon, I got some really good intel on Palestine. I found out Wakanda. Big up to Wakanda. I got a big up to Wakanda. That's right, Oz. Big shout out to Wakanda representing all over. Shadow, what up, Shadow Dancer? Big up to the family and I got some really great intel about Palestine. Actually, I found out one of my neighbors, really wonderful lady. I didn't know she was from Palestine. She told me when the inception happened. She gave me some intel. If you ever want, I love history, and she broke it down of how the Ashkenazis, the Khazar Jews, actually took over homes that were already being occupied. These people were forced out of their homes. You know the whole story about the Palestinian takeover that was enforced by the United States of America. But we're not getting political today because we're going on the Avengers. Let me keep it moving. Big up to Tel Aviv in the house representing. Big up to Palestine. Big up to Pakistan. Big up to our family in India, especially Bangladesh. Big up to our family in Indonesia. Big up to our family in Hey Alicia. Big up to our family, and I lose train of thought. I have to go. Oh, big up to our family in Kuwait. We have a big family in Kuwait and in Jordan. Big up to our family in Jordan. I have a very handsome. These sheiks keep finding me. Too bad I'm on the other side of the country and I don't trust anyone, any males outside that like to do insidious things. But big up to the sheik who's trying to solicit me right now. There's another sheik. All these princes and young sheiks like to. I don't know what they have this thing for copper women and they think that they can buy us, but needless do they know is that I can't be bought. Big up to Kirk, my mate. And you were born in Jordan? Yeah, we got family in Jordan. Beautiful people. They actually listen to the show, not on our time. Obviously, the time difference is different. They usually get our show a little later, like a little later. They are actually streaming. Actually, I found that out. So anyway, big up to our family in Kuwait and Jordan. Big up to our family in, of course, Abu Dhabi. My girlfriends are not in Abu Dhabi anymore. Big up to our family in Dubai. Big up to our family in Saudi Arabia. We have a really nice sized family in Saudi Arabia, believe it or not. So big up to our family in Saudi Arabia. Big up to our family in, did I say, I don't want to miss anywhere. Big up to our family in Yemen. Big up to our family in Ethiopia. Big up to our family in Sudan. Big up to our family in, of course, the Congo. Big up to our family in South Africa. Big up to our family in Zimbabwe. Big up to our family in Libya and Liberia and Libya. Big up to our family in Sierra Leone. See, I didn't forget. Our Sierra Leone family is always getting on me saying, Flurburn, you forget about Sierra Leone. What's good? Hey, Laura. I didn't forget about Sierra Leone. Big up to the men in, Freudian slip. I was just gonna say big up to the men in Kenya. Big up to the men. Big up to the I'm so silly tonight. I'm not on caffeine, and I'm actually quite giddy. Big up to our Nigerian family. Big up to our Kenyan family. I'm so silly. Big up to our family, east, west, north, south of Africa. Big up to our Caribbean family. You know I can't forget. I gotta start off with Turks and Caicos, because they say I always forget. Big up to our family in Turks and Caicos. Big up to our Bahamian family. Big up to our family in Belize. Big up to our family in Martinique and Dominique and Guadeloupe and St. Lucia. Big up to our family in Trinidad and Tobago. Big up to our family and big up to Jamaica, representing in the house, was where my mate is from, which is Kingston. Big up to also our family in St. Anne's in Jamaica. Big up to our family in, of course, Barbados and Barbuda. Okay, Barbuda. Big up to our family. Now, Puerto Rico, I have to get a little controversial just for a second. Thank you, Skittles. Skittles actually blew the spot this morning with the upheaval going on in Puerto Rico. I want to send a lot of love and protection and a lot of good nurturing energies towards our Puerto Rican family, our Boricua family. There's some upheaval governmentally going on, and you know they've been poking at Puerto Rico for a while. I denoted that. Remember a couple weeks ago I gave a little intel that there would be a power surge that some of the other countries were doing purposefully to see where there were weak spots in our electrical magnetic field. And one of the places that was hit was Puerto Rico. But I also know that was purposefully done right before there was about to be a coup that is actually causing the upheaval in Puerto Rico. So I want to send a lot of love to Puerto Rico right now. Yes, wholeness and balanced vibrations to them. Thank you, Oz. Yes, they need a lot of our support, even energetically. If we can just make sure, if you want to light a white candle for our Puerto Rican family, they've been through a lot with the hurricane, just getting back somewhat to themselves. That was purposefully set there, that storm, that HARP system. And that's my personal opinion. And they've really been undergoing a lot of strife. And I mean, these are the most wonderful people who are persevering through such challenging times. I want us to send as much energy to them if possible. So big up to our family in Puerto Rico. Big up to our family in Dominican Republic and Haiti. Ça passe. Big up to our family in Curacao, Belize. Big up to our family in Honduras. Big up to, Irie and to Phoenix, who had a beautiful baby girl. She's already big already, so big up to Phoenix and Irie, who are living in Honduras. They had their beautiful baby girl. She's growing big and strong. I'm really grateful to have had a personal affinity and a connection to that wonderful couple. So big up to them. I'm wishing them much love and success and beauty and holistic values in their family. Big up to our family in Panama, always represented in the house. Big up to our family in Guatemala. Big up to our family in Colombia. Big up to our family in Peru. Big up to our family in Costa Rica. Big up to our family in El Salvador. Big up to our family in Paraguay. Big up to our family in Argentina. Big up to our family in Venezuela, another country that's undergoing a lot of upheaval. I know personally of people who are actually have sought sovereignty, political asylum here in the States. So we send a lot of love and protection to our family. And right, Amara, thank you. Yeah, they went through a lot with Puerto Rico's gone through so much, and they're just basically they haven't fully recovered. Then this is happening. It's they're poking at Puerto Rico purposefully. Big up to Cuba. There's some I don't want to talk about it when those come to the conference. Big up to those coming to the conference. We will have a personal conversation about this. We can't talk about it live on the show because there's a lot of implications that I know intel and I can't speak about it publicly because there's some censure going on with that and there's a lot of things going on with the Latin America sect that's purposefully being provoked for there's an end goal. So for those coming to the conference, we're going to have a lot of wonderful conversations and we actually get to talk to each other face to face, which is nice. So big up to our family in, of course, Brazil, El Salvador, Bahia, of course, Rio de Janeiro. I'm ready. I'm ready to dance. Woo! I'm ready to go to Brazil. I am so hyped. This conference, all proceeds are going towards the sanctuary. And as soon as everything is good and secure, I'm going there to get us a nice lot of land so we can start dropping it like it's hot. Building our beautiful community. Anyway, wish me well. I don't know what I'm doing with the conference. Hopefully you all will have a ball. I'll make sure it's fun at least. Anyway, big up to our family in of course Australia. Big up to our family in the Down Under in Australia. Hola, DP's in the house. Was good. Big up to our family in I don't want to miss anyone. Did I say the Down Under? Okay. Well, big up to our galactic family. Andromedans, number one. The Andromedans are making sure that this conference is going to go unhinged. This conference is going to be absolutely masterful because they picked the location, which is a beautiful castle. And after the conference, we're going to drop it like it's hot on the roof of the castle. I got to get down like a true New Yorker and a Creole. So after the conference, many of you might be joining us on the roof for some sky watching. Hopefully the mothership will come and get us. And we will actually go home to our actually home planets. And actually, hopefully Mother Earth will survive disinfecting her planet while we go off for a little bit. And we'll come back when she's nice and clean. Big up to our Arcturian family. Big up to our Anunnaki family. Mr.Cori's on tonight. He's about to get it in. Big up to our Syrian family. Big up to our Lyrian family. Big up to our Alpha Centaurian family. Big up to our family from Zeta Reticulans. Big up to our famille that are actually from the Sirius A, B, and C sect and the Orion belt. Big up to our famille who are representing the alliance that is now coming online right now and starting to make all those treaties come to fruition. So thank you for everyone joining tonight. We have Mr. Cori. I don't want to make him wait anymore. We're about to get into discussion about no other but Avengers Infiniti Wars. I want back crazy, and Mr. Cori will probably get into that in a minute. So let me go on the phone lines. Let me get Mr. Cori. Let's start getting into the conversation. Remember, the number is 515-605-9881. Remember, we're going to come online. Oh, wow. People are already calling in. Okay. So let me find. Oh, I see Mr. Cori already in the line. Let's bring in Mr. Cori. Peace, Mr. Cori.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. Cori.
What?
Yes, can you hear us?
Hey, how you doing, Laverne?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Just listening to you give a shout out to the whole planet. Many other planets.
You know how I get down, Mr. Cori. We've known each other for a while now.
To say you have gone global is to say you have gone global is an understatement.
Literally, I'm going global, galactic. I'm touching all inner Earth. I'm touching all. I'm everywhere. So, Mr.
You even gave a shout out. You even gave a shout out to Turtle Island, aka Wakanda.
Yes, I did. That was Oz. Oz brought it up. So he said Wakanda, Wakanda forever.
There you go. There you go.
So, Mr. Cori, you already know how I felt after the movie because I made sure I was really candid with you after the movie. I was very upset, right? Rather upset at because I didn't realize what this was. But let's not get into my elation because it really wasn't. It wasn't rightfully an emotion that should have been there based on the fact that I didn't really have the intel of what was going on, just in the totality of what was actually.
You never finished telling me what it didn't like.
Yes. Okay. So let's get into the movie first, and then we'll talk about my emotions when I actually saw the movie, which was crazy. And during that night when I went to go see the movie, it was interesting because I live close to the movie theater, and every road was blocked. And I didn't even know if I could actually get in the theater because I was running late. And as soon as I found another detour to go to the theater for that night, I saw a bus by Jay-Z 444, which was interesting. I almost feel like that was purposefully done so I can get that sort of activation prior to seeing the movie. So can you give us a little bit of a synopsis on the characters during this movie? What Avengers, why this Avengers Infinity came about? Like, where is this coming from?
Well, if you've been, I'm more of a DC fan than Marvel, but I watch both.
Yeah.
Marvel has their shit together.
Yes.
As far as building their cinematic universe, and DC does not.
I see.
So
yeah, I see.
10 years ago, they started the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the very first Iron Man. And every movie they put out has been building towards this. And Infinity Wars is 2 parts. There's Infinity Wars, and then there's going to be another Infinity Wars. It's already been filmed. Okay? And it has Thanos in it, and the second part of what you just saw. So they've been building towards this for 10 years.
So everything.
Every Marvel movie, and that includes Black Panther.
So everything was basically built into the climactic, this climactic version that we just saw with this Infinity Wars.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Remember, it's a 2-parter.
I didn't know that. That's why I was upset. Remember I told you? I was like, how could you leave me like this? Like, I felt really upset. I really was bothered by the end. I didn't know there was another part.
A lot of people were. And a whole lot of people were.
Oh my gosh. I felt like abused. Like, I felt like...
There were some people in tears.
I was upset. Like, especially when Spider-Man is a young boy. You know how I am with children. And he's young. When he was like, I'm not feeling... Yeah, he said, I'm not feeling well. Don't let me go. Like, don't let me go.
I don't want to die. Yeah.
I that broke my heart. Like, I really felt some type of way. And then we sat in the theater, and when everybody turned to dust, I was like, what? How you gonna leave me like this? And then I saw the credits. I was pissed off. I was mad.
Yeah.
So
a lot of women who don't watch comic books, don't watch Marvel, and they're not aware.
Yes.
I had one inbox me.
Yeah.
And asked me. And she was mad. She made a post about it because she doesn't really follow the movies that much and don't really know what's going on.
Exactly. So let's start at the beginning, Mr. Cori, because I found the beginning to be really fascinating. At the beginning of the movie, we see... I want you... Because we're going to connect this to some of the galactic... There's a galactic connection to some of the characters that are part of this Marvel comics, right? So let's get to the beginning part when we see the villain. And they're actually in like this war type thing. He's killing people. You see dead bodies all over the place. And you see Thor, and we see his brother. And can you kind of get into the characters of Thor and I'm sorry, what's his brother's name again? Loki. Thank you, Loki. So, can you kind of get into the beginning when they're actually there, and you know Thor is there and his brother's there? Can you associate those two characters with what we know?
Well, as far as the movie goes, see, I just told you all the movies are connected and building to this point.
Yes.
That you would have to watch Thor Ragnarok, which was the third Thor movie.
Okay.
Which was the last movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe before Black Panther. And then because they leave off at Thor Ragnarok where Thanos has destroyed Asgard, which is Thor's home world.
Yes.
And he's killing all what's called the Asgardians. He's killed almost all of them. He kills Heimdall, which was played by Idris Elba.
Yes.
He's the black dude. He stabbed him when he was already on the floor.
Yeah, and he
then he kills.
Yes.
He killed all of them. Thor's probably like the last Asgardian left. And as I told your audience before, and I told you, we know they sample a lot of stuff, and they're all from ancient sources, ancient black sources.
Yes.
Thor is Enlil.
And
Loki is Enki.
That's right. The Anunnaki connection.
Who was yes, absolutely. And so are the Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's a whole nother story, or at least a whole nother discussion in this show, if you like. And you see the we're not going to get ahead. The woman he ended up killing and he raised because he butchered her whole planet.
Yeah. Is
a melanated woman in the show and in real life. That's the same actress from Avatar.
Yes. And during the part when
green.
When we're seeing the beginning parts of the show,
right,
and they're setting up the stage for the actual war that is being raged, but actually the war that's been raged already, but the accumulation of all these different superheroes from all different sets coming together with a common goal and a common theme. Now, why is it that we see Thor as the main? Why is he the main guy in this story? Why is he taking that main superhero role in this particular way?
I don't really see him as the main.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he comes in and you know, and I hope your audience, well, I guess they would have had to see it if they know the show was going to be about Infinity Wars, because obviously there's going to be just spoilers left and right if they hadn't seen it. I don't really think he's the main. I know he comes in and whacks him with his new axe at the end, but it's not really like he's the main. It's just they left off Thor Ragnarok, which is Thor 3.
Okay.
It was the last movie before Black Panther, which was the last movie before.
Yes.
So remember, they're all connected. That's why they're starting. It's not so much Thor's the main guy.
Okay.
It's just that's where it left off. And then Black Panther was kind of, even though it's connected.
Yes.
Because this was that character's first ever movie versus that was Thor's third movie.
That's true.
It was Thor's third solo movie, and then he had been in 2 Avenger movies too.
Really?
So Thor's been
he has.
Thor was in the. Yeah, Thor's been around.
Yeah,
So
yes.
Thor Ragnarok was Thor 3. So he's had 3 solo movies, and he's been in the first 2 Avenger movies.
Yes, you're right.
Whereas Black Panther has been in nothing. So they kind of did that as a standalone. You had very few references to the bigger Marvel Cinematic Universe, except for the CIA agent who was in Captain America 3.
Okay.
So it's not so much Thor was the main one, it's just that's where the last one left off.
That's where having a little bit more knowledge, whereas I didn't have that. That's why when I went into the movie, I went in a little, I didn't have a reference point to really start. I'm just seeing a scene play out that I don't know where that came from. So thank you for clearing that up. So when we see it starting to build up and we see all these different characters coming into play in order to protect this, the different Infinity Stones, can we kind of get into the stones a little bit and why that was such a big deal for this series, and it actually created a rainbow, which many know are connected to the event that just occurred not too long ago with the rainbow energy. And I want to kind of get into that. The Infinity Stones, was that ever mentioned in a previous series? The Infinity Stones?
Oh yeah.
Oh what?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Like I said, they've been building towards this for about 10 years.
Okay.
And so the stones were hidden, they were spread out. A lot of us thought that one of them was going to be in Wakanda.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of people that were kind of disappointed that one of them wasn't in Wakanda. They because that's the last movie before Avengers, so they thought maybe like the after credit scene.
Oh, I see.
They were going to say one. I think it was the Infinity Stone. They were going to think maybe the Infinity Stone is there.
Okay.
Because Doctor Strange had the one stone where you can go back
in time. Yeah, time control. Yeah.
I've forgotten the name of it.
He had that one. Do you think
Thanos' bowl? Pardon me?
Oh no, go ahead, Mr.Cori. I'm sorry.
I was going to say his goal, and is to get all of them, because he wants to wipe out. In his mind, he wants to wipe out the problems. That gets into population control and the themes that were in there. In his mind, there's too many people in the universe or the universes. The only way to make it right is to wipe out half of them so the other half can live well.
Yes. I noticed that he took
so many people are and he has to have all those stones to do it, all of them.
Which was interesting is I listened to a young man's video earlier, Young Pharaoh, big up to Young Pharaoh, and he actually equated that his whole philosophy is he's a representation of the government, of the Dark Cabal, who wants to wipe out half the populace through genocide, and that he takes on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought it was really very masterful that it came with just that being a representation of what the Dark Cabal represents, and trying to take control and purposefully depopulating the planet in order for them to be more for them actually to do better. And also the philosophy is if you take away half the population, the other population will live well, according to this entity.
Absolutely.
So,
and make it all seem like Thanos, because Thanos is one of those very dangerous villains in movies where they don't see themselves as doing anything wrong.
Yes.
It's for the greater good. It's not my fault. You guys will thank me later for this. That's how, we already know, unless you got your head up your ass, AIDS is synthetic.
Yes.
And biological warfare. And
Absolutely.
was made for population control, aimed at black.
Absolutely. Well.
And so this is sort of like that.
I see that it's kind of, I love that it does take a tone that we can see it in another angle that's associated to how the world is actually being conveyed. What's interesting is that I got some intel from an elder about AIDS itself, but we're not going to get into that. I'll do another show on that, where AIDS was where AIDS was engineered, and actually the direct people it was directed towards initially, and how it affected everyone later on globally. So we don't have to get into that now.
Engineered in Fort Detrick, Maryland.
Yes. And also it was during the time there was a Vietnam War where it was actually engineered. I heard this from an elder who was part of that system. And what most people, I don't want to ruin an icon. There's another, one day I'll do a show on this, and it will blow people's minds to hear the, elder break down the systematic engineering of the nutricide, which is a genetically motivated virus, and also how it was implemented into societies, not just one but many. So we'll get into that in another show, but we got to get into Avengers. Okay, so now we have this genocidal maniac who's going to each part of the planet to procure himself a stone that was relative to him gaining a certain specific power that would allow him to control an aspect that needed to be fielded together, right? To create this superpower, ability to snuff out whomever he deemed was unnecessary or in his way. Okay. I know when I get quiet. So what?
Can I ask you a question?
No, not yet. So I'm thinking, how did the galaxy now? What's interesting is that the Guardians of the Galaxy played a really poignant role in this Infinity Wars, which I thought was interesting. And just, I saw personalities show up, like things that were more, that showed up in, directly in the actual series, the show itself, Guardians of the Galaxy. But what's the gentleman's name? What is it called? The gentleman who's the leader of the, who's the captain of the ship. What's his name again from Guardians of
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord. I saw that he's the reason why a lot of things totally went awry. Like his lack of self-control, self-awareness, his inability to show leadership under pressure in a way that would be more helpful. I found he was more of a hindrance, actually. He pissed me off during the movie. He really did. I know it's good. Do you have any thoughts on him, or why they kind of focus a little bit on him and Thor being so competitive? Is there any relationship with them other than this series?
The Guardians, Marvel, and this is one of the few criticisms they get, is that they're too humorous. Okay. That's one of many reasons I always like DC, because they have a darker tone and they're more serious.
Yes.
So it's not any deeper reason other than Marvel.
Okay.
Sometimes that's one of the reasons Black Panther got so much praise.
Yes.
Because while there were funny parts in the movie, it wasn't a slapstick comedy like so many other Marvel movies, where a lot of people say you can't even take anything. Their criticisms, and even in this movie, is after something dramatic happens, they don't let the weight hit you, because 5 seconds later
it's a joke. Yeah, there's a joke. I did find that
somebody dies and 5 minutes later they're laughing.
Yeah, I noticed that there was a lot of
intermittent jokes. Reason other than they're just into humor a lot.
So, how do we play this as far as the characters and how this might be connected to the Anunnaki, so to speak? Because we did get a question earlier, and I kind of posed it to you already, that one person got intel about the Russians and the Anunnaki and them eating people or what have you. How is this movie connected to the Anunnaki in a grandiose way? We know that Enki and Enlil are kind of represented by Loki and Thor, but is there a greater connection to the galactic sect via that sort of segue in from the liaison of the Anunnaki?
No, not really. I would say the only kind of connection is the and I forgot her name, but the woman who it's Thanos' adopted daughter that he raised after
Yes.
he butchered her family.
Yes.
She's green, which is one of the melanated colors of some of the Anunnaki
Yes.
that you see on the walls of the
Yes. I wanted you to say that. Yes.
That people falsely say is some green god of vegetation.
Gamora. Her name is Gamora.
Okay,
Thank you, Shannon.
that's not
Gamora. Her
There
name.
you go.
Yeah,
There
Gamora.
you go.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yes. I would say she is. And the term Guardians of the Galaxy can be ascribed to them because it's one of many things that they do.
Yes.
So and you see the other one who's a retired professional wrestler in real life. The big one,
guy.
Also green.
Yeah, the big guy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Batista in real life, but I don't know his name. I've seen the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I really didn't see the second one.
I saw the second one.
The second one too. I didn't like it.
Yeah. That was okay. Drax. Drax. His name is Drax. Oh, Laconia. They're coming with the names. Sea stars. That's what I'm talking about. Laconia said Drax.
Yeah,
yes.
they know. Yeah.
They do. Okay, Drax.
Yeah. So as far as connection to them, not really so much. Thanos is not really a connection. I mean, more like what's her name, Gamora,
Yes.
and because if you see the walls of Kemet, there are many green beings.
Yes.
And then George Lucas put many green beings in Star Wars.
He did.
And
He did.
And you're saying, well, where's all these green humanoids? Yeah. And they're not even making them like little, what you say is stereotypical aliens, little green men aliens. They make them humanoid.
They do. And they usually have broad features like brown people, like wider noses or thicker features. They tend to be a little more caricatures of more melanated people. But from our knowledge, from what I know, is also that when a lot of beings came here because of the iron content in our oxygen, once iron was oxidated, the skin that was normally green or a dark blue turned to brown and dark black, quote unquote black. That some beings actually didn't hold the green when they came here. Eventually, because of the iodizing, the iron in the oxygen level, it changed the complexion of beings that actually were here for a longer period of time, to my knowledge. So,
Interesting.
yeah, so because of that, there are a lot of beings connected to some of those galactic, brethren, but because the complexion seemingly is different, but remember, we have a different stratosphere and a different atmosphere. A content and a molecular content of our ionic sphere is going to change and actually, morph someone's genetics based on the fact that it's a totally different atmosphere that they come from. That's why a lot of ET groups won't even come on the surface themselves. They usually send the Greys to go do it, the bioengineered Greys to go do a lot of their work.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. A lot of Greys work for Draconians, were made by Draconians.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this Infinity War, I find it interesting right before we're about to kick off a World War III, plausibly, that this, everything's relative. How do you feel about it being in such close proximity? Do you think it's just chance, or do you think that relatively everything is co-orchestrated? And what seemingly seems like just a movie thrown out there at the right time, do you think there's any connection to the timing of the movie and also the momentum of the society that we're living in right now?
Every major movie is subliminals and timing.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been planning this stuff for so long.
Exactly.
So it's like I won't say it's related. It's necessarily a sign of something around the corner. It's just another one of their ultimate plans, and the fact that the deeper message. You know, I know you reach a very broad audience, and that's a beautiful thing. But not to leave anybody out, but how they want the battle to go down in Wakanda on Earth.
Yes.
Okay, because Captain America takes everybody to Wakanda to deal with Thanos' troops.
Yes.
Because that's like a sub. Like, they're the only ones who could take them. They didn't go take it to the United States.
No, they didn't. They went to
He
Wakanda.
wanted to go down in Wakanda.
Yeah. They
Among
knew.
all these powerful black folks.
But
You
it
know,
was,
even though it's not just the Wakandans fighting them. It's some white folks too. It's Bucky the White Wolf. It's
The White Wolf,
America. It's a few
yeah.
of them. But he wants to party.
oh, I know. I remember the White Wolf. I thought it was interesting he was in there. I love that they added him in.
Yeah. In the comics, he was T'Challa's adopted brother. They changed it up for the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It shocked me to see him. I was like, oh, wow, he's there. That was kind of like a surprise. Like somebody just dived into the movie. I didn't.
He was at that after credits. See, you don't watch a lot of the
No.
Marvel movies. He went there. Yeah, see, he went there at the end of Captain America 3.
Yeah.
Because he was
Oh,
at the
that's
bottom.
what. Okay. I didn't know that.
See, he's been there. That's why at the beginning of Black Panther,
Yeah.
when they brought the CIA agent in,
Yeah.
his sister said, "Oh, great, another broken white boy for me to."
Oh, that's okay.
The White Wolf.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay, so I love that reference. Okay, now I understand where it came from. All right, that's interesting. And you know what's interesting? I love the fact that the two, I did get chills when they were in Wakanda, when I saw the level of mastery of warriors that I think it was so empowering to see their level of technology and how they were so, they came as is, but they came ready to pounce on and protect their brethren. I thought it was masterful, the technology that they utilized for the shields, which was incredible. Just the fact that the two nations, the
Rhino tribe.
Yeah. I really like the the Rhino tribe came, and also the gorilla. What's his name? I had an affinity for him. M'Baku. I loved it. I loved that they showed up and just were ready to go and battle. It was such a wonderful. That to me was one of the strongest scenes. Yeah, it brought chills. It gave me chills just to see that. Just to see them all standing together in united stance. And this is the premise that I really drive and I promote, is that unity consciousness. Like, we can't battle a lot of these beings separated. We can't really battle people from these separate coups. United we stand, divided we fall. It's basically that. They showed all these superheroes from all different demographics, all different abilities, showing up in one spot. Wakanda of all places. Woo! That battle was.
That's not an accident.
No, now what was that? Why Wakanda? Was it just that these people were absolutely masterful warriors? But why Wakanda? Why do the last stand in Wakanda? Why? Why do you think?
Because of the most technologically advanced nation on Earth in the Marvel universe, even above the United States, way past the United States.
Wow.
So the real Wakanda, but that's another story.
There is a real Wakanda, right? Mr.Cori?
Of course.
Wakanda exists.
Stanley and Jack Kirby knew exactly what they were talking about. They didn't make up Wakanda. They only reported what they know because they're part of all the secret societies, just like all the rest of them.
Absolutely. You know what I found is interesting, and again, I'm going to connect the young man, Pharaoh's video early talking about his metaphysical take on what's happening in Wakanda. I thought it was so interesting. He also connected to technology that comes from Africa. With every cell phone, every bit of technology that we utilize, All of the listen, I didn't say part. All of the resources come from Africa. So it's kind of interesting that Wakanda is a representation of all the richness, of all the mineral extra, all the content of all the technology put in one place that has it all, mastered and to the ability, to liken to many of the ETs that we talk about. To some degree, they have technology that some of the ETs have. Not the ones who are further out, but I'm talking about the ETs that sometimes contact us with that same level of technological advancements. They have that, but I loved
Remember
how.
where the Anunnaki landed.
That's right. They landed in Africa. They did. And Wakanda.
Their monuments are all over.
That's true. That is true. Well,
South Africa, Great Zimbabwe,
yes.
was one of Prince E.A. Inky's residences. A lot of people don't know that. I just told you that. The whole Great Zimbabwe man was one of his residences.
Do you hear that, family? Zimbabwe. Now, do you? There is some. There's a place. I think I talked about a story on the show the other day. We were talking about the Olmec heads, and I remember Delbert Blair having one of his last shows and a gentleman calling in saying that he was a brown gentleman who took over a trucker's route, lunar trucker's route, and he found himself in a underground tunnel system where they were covering up Olmec heads that were actually, I think it was Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in Virginia. It was like big African heads, which, we like, and we know what those are, Olmec heads. But he was finding them, I guess they were covering them with concrete to cover up where they came from. But we know that at one point, that the Anunnaki weren't just located specifically in just Africa. They actually were all over the planet. Isn't that correct?
Oh, no, yeah. No, that's where they touched down at. Oh, no, they were in this, it's not necessarily them per se, because, Anunnaki is the best known term, but it goes a lot deeper than that, because there's even levels to that, Not all Anunnaki are the same. There's different levels to them. I think I've mentioned that on different shows, where some are the Neteru, some are the Watchers, some are the Igigi. There are lots of different branches of even that.
And to a certain degree, I kind of...
But,
can I ask you a question? I'm sorry, Mr. Cori. I just have a question. As far as the Igigi,
sure.
I kind of took my take on the Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of taking on a little bit of that Igigi kind of quality. Kind of? Would you kind of... Is there kind of a connection? And how I view that, I kind of see that as Igigi.
They would be... Yes, yeah, I would, because the Guardians of the Galaxy, in relation to what you just said, are more of like the Watchers.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But the Igigi, some of the Watchers, they watch and they get in their ships and they do combat, like the Igigi were pilot Watchers. So yeah, what you're saying is true, basically, yes.
Because even the first time I saw the movie, the first time I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, when I saw Gamora, I knew, just from our sect and what we talk about, I knew Gamora was one of the melanin dominant beings that showed up green, but she was actually brown in our Earth stratosphere. If she was here, obviously she's on the. And
they use the same actress that they use
for Avatar.
The lead actress in Avatar.
Avatar, yes, who is a blue. So as we talk about the oxidizing of the skin, when you enter the atmosphere, that's interesting. Thank you for connecting. Thank you for connecting. Yeah, with the dreadlocks. Thank you for connecting that. And if many people don't realize or did not get a chance to see a show that I recommended, it's called Mars Needs Moms, which is a cartoon series. I think I told you, Mr. Cori, and it was dreadlocked blue beings that were very Africano in shape. They had big buttocks, and they were shaped like brown women, but they had blue skin and dreadlocks. That was Mars Meets Moms. And
Mars Meets Moms?
Mars Needs Moms, yes. And it's a wonderful movie talking about a matriarchal...
Inky humans on Mars. He had a lab on Mars, and he grew humans in labs on Mars.
Yes, because then we talk
So
about the
that's very
MERS.
interesting.
Yes, it's interesting. We have a colony of the MERS, which are brown people with dreadlocks who actually coexist there. And some of their colony has a little bit of a society that does exist here, and we call them the Moors. The Lemurians, the Moors, the Moors. And to my knowledge, they were connected to that sect, but I didn't know that.
The Moors and the Moors are not the same.
No, they're not. They're not. Absolutely. Yeah. I liken one group
the
to...
Moors NU. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the NU Moors, which are you talking about Lemurians.
Yes.
Blue.
Yes.
And then there's Moors, MORS, which are the something else. Yeah.
Yes. But it's interesting you said that the colony was created on Mars. So it's interesting that everything's interrelated, and how the beings look and how they come here and how we, and even in discussion of talking about brown ETs or melanin dominant ETs, even with the blackout of information that is obviously still occurring in the UFO and ET community, we see aspects of them showing up all over, and on a very broad way, galactically. I mean, it's not just we don't just say brown ETs or melanin dominant ETs just show up in one sect of the galaxy. They're showing up in several different areas of different galactic arenas. So, when we talk about the Martians, when we talk about those in the Andromedan star system, when we talk about those in Sirius, the Sirius or Orion belt, we do see a consistent presence of the melanin dominant ET. However that shows up.
That's true. You see it in Incredible Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk.
That's a whole other story in and of itself.
But let's talk about the Incredible Hulk. The fact of the matter is, how did he get that color and that size? He was exposed to gamma radiation.
There you go.
Gamma radiation, which is one of the main radioactive substances that interacts with melanin. That is why ships that leave our stratosphere have to be covered in melanin in order to exit out of our ozone layer, or they would totally disintegrate because of the gamma radiation that would be exposed to. And also, people on the ship would have their brains melt if they actually left the stratosphere, if they didn't have a heightened amount of melanin, because melanin protects the skin, protects the brain from large doses of radiation, especially gamma radiation, which Dr. Delva Blair did some wonderful shows on.
I didn't get a whole lot of his shows, but yeah, Incredible Hulk is the same as Gamora. It's the exact same.
Gamora, yes.
Even though they're never connected in Marvel, but they're the exact same.
So you're saying that they're from the same
and
planet?
And you see in Star Wars.
Oh, yes.
Pardon me?
So Gamora and him, you're saying on a more cellular level, they're the same, they're from the same planet, because obviously David Banner's from here, but you're saying his exposure did the same as what makes his skin green is what she's exposed to.
And there's even an Incredible Hulk story arc called Planet Hulk, where he goes and is on a different planet.
Yes, I remember that. Yes. Oh my gosh. That I remember. You just gave me a flashback. I remember that. I remember seeing that years and years ago. I was young. That's not too long. That's a long time ago when that happened, when they showed that. I saw it in the cartoon version.
Yeah, Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He goes to another planet. You're on another planet for a very long time.
That's right. With beings that were his same color. Interesting.
Lots of different beings, yeah.
Oh, Mr.Cori. Okay, so we get into that. So we have the Infinity Stones, and we see he has this handmade handmade what is it, like a glove that holds specifically, that can hold the energetic level and harness it of each of the Infinity Stones. So it's interesting. That's what I love seeing the dwarf. Remember the guy who always plays? He's a dwarf. He's a little person. He always plays a little person. If you've ever seen, my daughter's like this movie called, I don't know, it's like the Pac-Man is in there. What is it called? It's like the show where he plays like the super gamer, and he wins this game, and then they have this.
Yeah, and they made him real. They made him real big in this one.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. Actually, I really appreciated that they did this, and I really had. It kind of flipped me out because I knew who he was. I know him as an actor. So when they made him big, and he's one of those who's the one who is able, who has the ability to actually forge the strongest pixels. Thank you, Laconia. She knows the movie was called Pixels. My daughters love that movie, Pixels. It's such a good movie. But he was able to forge masterful tools or weapons, which I thought was beautiful. How they made him into this huge being. But what are those beings that he came from? Because they said that they're the beings that make. This is the first time I'm seeing him ever in this series of Marvel. Is he just like a throw-in?
I don't know where he must be. He must be from. I haven't seen him unless he was in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I don't think he was in any of them. Because I was kind of shocked. Like, again, it shocked me a little bit. I was like, okay, cool. They threw him in. I knew who he was an actor, but it was just interesting how they flip mode him from being a little man to being a giant. And being a masterful giant at that, being someone who forges weaponry, the best weaponry, which was great. Now, I'm gonna take you to my theory with the end, because right a couple weeks ago I talked about an event that I experienced where I saw this rainbow energy, and when it hit me, all these negative beings turned to dust. Now, many of the people on my show already know, because I went on a rainbow rant, right, everyone? I went on a rainbow rant for like 3 weeks, Mr. Cori. I think you may have heard it like once, but everybody heard it like 50 million times. And before I experienced...
Oh, the gate that they use are the Anunnakis too.
Oh, the gate?
That's the most obvious. Yeah, that's the most obvious.
Okay, the portal.
The gate, that thing, those big... Portal, yeah, big round. They look exactly like their gates.
The portal. Okay, that's Anunnaki.
Iraq and Iran and stuff like that.
Ah, that's Anunnaki. Okay, so they got that idea. You can feel the Anunnaki on it. You can I'm sitting there getting gems. Like I'm like, wait, that feels very Anunnaki. You know what I mean? You could feel it. There was remnants of it.
The gate.
The gate.
That's why they have all those ships over there. All those cruisers.
Yes. Yes.
Over in the by Somalia and all of them, because that's where the gates and portals are at.
That's right. Yemen, around that area. I know that. And that's why they create so much strife in Yemen. Because the portal, one of the biggest portals, is over in Yemen and Somalia area. Absolutely. That's where the Anunnaki have their main place. But it's also, don't we have another Anunnaki gate that's also located in Israel? That's not online?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
They're in Iraq. They're in Iraq.
Okay.
They're in Iraq and Iran.
The countries that they caused.
And they look just like that. The gates that they're. Yeah. That's why they want in them. That's why one of the reasons they want in them so bad.
Ah, that's what it is. Yes. And it is Thor the Rainbow Bridge.
That was the whole point of the Iraqi war.
Yeah, to procure that gate. Absolutely. So the gateway, so they couldn't elect.
That's right. That's the whole point of that.
That's right. They said it was. They always make up a bogus reason to always infiltrate, but we know that it's generally to procure something ET based, and it was really to close down. They didn't want the gates open because they didn't want any more Anunnaki to come through.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to the movie, that's what the gates look like.
Yes.
I mean, they just basically got a cut and paste job.
Wow. See, this is the thing about it. They add that little gem in there.
The one where Peter Parker's riding the bus.
Yeah.
and he turns around and sees that big round gate. That's exactly what their gates look like.
Yes, right then and there. Good observation. That's Anunnaki based. But what I was saying is that during a time when I was seeing a rainbow energy and it hit me, the first thing I noticed is that everyone turned to dust. Now, when our people, our family went to go see the movie, they told me that what I said was relative. But what bothered me in the movies, because I had an experience, was the bad guys were dissipated into dust. And I felt like Marvel flip mode the movie and made the good guys turn to dust. It was something that I experienced the absolute opposite, meaning that when this rainbow energy came online, it was supposed to dissipate anything that was negative out of alignment. But in this movie, everything that was good, everything that was wholesome, everything that represented our who we are at our core, at our best, was dissipated when he came online with his rainbow bracelet, or I mean his rainbow glove. When he procured all of those infinity stones, every single color, he became more powerful, and that rainbow energy ended up destroying all of the superheroes. And it just pissed me off. Pissed me off. Now, with the next movie coming out, Mr.Cori, so they've already made this movie.
Yeah, it's already been filmed.
And can you, I don't want to spoil it, because you kind of know how it's going to turn out or what it is. Can you kind of touch on it without blowing spots? I don't know if you can, though. Like, what, obviously...
Well, I can't really blow spots because I haven't seen it.
No, but
it's not out.
But you know, like, the storyline behind it. You kind of know where they went, or if they didn't go anywhere. Do you have an idea? Okay.
All the people that you think are dead that disappear like that are in the dimensional, or in the one stone that you can go to another dimension. That's where they're at.
Oh,
I mean, even not necessarily towards you or your viewers,
yeah,
but even basic common sense. If you've read absolutely nothing, if you've not seen one Marvel movie,
yes.
Do people really think they're going to kill off the Black Panther after a $1.5 billion?
No, I didn't. No, absolutely.
Debuted?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, so, and Spider-Man, they just got back from Sony, and they really didn't have it all the way back. Sony's just letting them use it.
Oh, really?
There's no way in the world.
Absolutely. This is interesting.
Yeah, Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man. They just kind of leasing them out to Marvel right now.
Well, one of our sisters.
But no, there's not a. No, they're in a different dimension.
Alicia, one of our sisters said. Alicia said, "I heard Doctor Strange is the key to returning everyone." So she's heard that Doctor Strange might be the reason why they come back. They have the ability to actually come back.
No, because he no longer has that stone. He gave that stone to Thanos to save Iron Man.
That's right. That's right. Okay, I remember that. That's right. So that would be the only way. But
That's how Thanos used. That's how Thanos went backwards.
Yes, but remember.
Vision's stone.
Yes, but remember, the other person who was along with Doctor Strange, his crony. You know, the Asian guy who's always doing the magic with him, closing doors, opening doors. Yeah. He's able to do that without a stone. Do you think he might be the one to actually, I think if I call it, he might be the guy who actually could pull him out. Wong. His name is Wong. Thank you, Laconia. Wong. Because if we think about it, he has an ability.
Yeah, but I doubt it because he didn't necessarily go with them. I don't know how he would do. Remember, they're in another dimension.
You're right.
It's just like, it would be like saying, how come somebody beside you right now who's in another dimension, if you were standing in the rain, how come they're not getting wet? Because they're not really where you're at.
Absolutely. They may be
that guy could very well play a role in the next movie.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't see it. That looks like it has to be something from within.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So something that they have innately that would be able to unlock them out of that particular dimension, which makes sense because we know what
Wherever, yes,
yeah,
whatever dimension they're at.
we also know that change in frequency or vibration can make you move in and out of the field of different dimensions. We do it all the time. So it makes sense that maybe, but maybe Doctor Strange has that intel on how to do, because he's, you know, even with the stone, he worked on it, but he had that kind of metaphysical, spiritual, you know, that kind of like meditational.
Absolutely.
He has the key because he has that intel, that wisdom gained from going in and out of different realms and building and breaking timelines. So I'm thinking absolutely you were correct. I think he's going to be pinnacle in unleashing them, or at least finding a way to break free out of that dimension.
Because he did go forward. He already did that.
Yeah.
That's before he gave Thanos the stone.
Yeah.
That's why he told Tony Stark this was the only way. This is the only way to save some of us, because he went forward and seen it.
Ah.
So that's why he gave Thanos the stone to save Tony Stark's life. He was dead. He already seen it.
He already seen the future, so he knew what it was. Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
That's why he said this is the only way.
Laconia says, I think Thanos is going to use the Time Stone to save Gamora, and that's how they will flip it. Or Captain Marvel may have the capabilities. Captain Marvel. Perhaps.
The Captain Marvel movies will be set in the 90s.
Okay.
And, that's kind of like a movie. It's kind of like a prequel movie. It's before Nick Fury, Samuel Jackson. It's before he lost his eye. So I don't know how they're going to factor that in.
Yes.
That's interesting, but we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. So you know what, Mr. Cori? I think a lot of people have questions. My phone line is packed. Like, it's packed solid. Are you up for taking some questions now?
Wow.
Yeah, and tonight, I guess, you know, this conversation about Avengers, listen, like I said, you heard me. I was so devastated at the end. I couldn't sleep. It was hard. It was hard to accept that. I knew I knew something, you know, obviously, like you said, I knew something would come of it, but the feeling you had when that build up, that whole accumulation, like they almost got the glove off, that build up was amazing. And then just to have them dissipate. And I told you, Spider-Man going, that was the hardest thing to hear that young boy say, I don't want to die. Oh, that broke me. That really did. It really hurt my heart. But anyway, so let's go into take callers. Listen, Famiel, you have another 37 minutes if you're going to call in and you have a question. You know the number is 515-605-9881. And you press 1 if you have a question. That way I know that you have a question. You're just not listening. So make sure you press 1, because a lot of times people are on. It was like, how come she's not picking up? It's because you didn't press the number 1. So please do so. And let's go to our first caller. Hold on. Oh, see, I'm here. I'm seeing people press 1 now. Okay, first caller, 559-1543. You're on the line with Flurbrun and Mr. Cori. Peace, Famiel.
Hey, I'm Flurbrun. Long time no hear.
Oh, yes. Who's this?
It's Naima.
Naima. Oh, I'm surprised you're calling me.
Yeah, because I can't message you anymore on Facebook. I can't, because I was deleted out of the group and off your page. So I was like, well, let me try to get a hold of her through the show.
Absolutely.
Why?
I think it's poignant that you're calling in, Naima, because I heard you had issues with me. So I had to remove you because of all the insidious things you were saying about me that were untrue. I heard you had thought I was a witch and I was fielding energy from divine energy. Even though me and you've had a long relationship that was positive and beautiful and fielded off of something with integrity, I didn't understand where that was coming from.
See, I know this is like the wrong moment at the wrong time or whatever, but
Very wrong. Very wrong.
Hey, Mr.Cori, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm here. I'm busy. I'm doing
I
good.
guess that's half the battle right there.
Well, Yeah, that's true. That is definitely true. No, Florida, what happened was I didn't make those statements until after I noticed I could never talk to you again. And then I saw another person's post that was saying similar to things that you were saying, and I was like, well, wait a minute. Well, did that happen to me then too?
Well, Naima,
And then I started seeing other people.
Well, Naima, me and you've had a relationship for a long time, before many others even engaged with us. We've had a relationship based on trust and honesty, really just rough honesty too. It's not like we ever kikied and we were about BS, right? We always kept it real.
Right.
So, you know, my thing, and we're on live. I actually like that you called on, because I think this can kind of clear up a couple things. You know, I just think that it was interesting that when others came for me, and they did, and they, you know, attacked my channel and did some insidious things that they're legally going to have to deal with now, that you didn't really say anything to thwart that. And I've never done anything personally to you.
Right. But see, I didn't, like I said, before you deleted me, anything like that, see, I was still in there, I was hardly in the room making posts in there. But then when I had some interesting things I wanted to bring in the room, bring to people and talk about stuff like that, I noticed I couldn't find a group. And when I went to go and try to message you, because I always talk to you, through the inbox and stuff, I was like, I can't message her, so I'm deleted out of all her groups, all of her pages. And then I had asked somebody else who I knew that was deleted out of their group, what is the group still around? And they was just like, yeah, the group is still there, but you're not in there. And they were saying, well, she deleted me out of it, and that's when we engaged in a conversation. I was like, really? Now I have all of the inboxes to show you. This is after the fact. I didn't say anything about you until way after I knew I was gone and I was deleted, and I was trying to figure out, well, why was I deleted out of it?
Well, Naima, let's do this.
So I had all the timestamps and everything.
Okay, let's do this, love, because we could talk about this. I prefer to talk to you one-on-one, but I just want to say, remember, I've always had love for Naima. When people spoke against you, I was the #1 person rah-rahing for you. Just remember that. So when people had some insidious things to say, obviously due to their own lack of judgment and their own insecurities and their own lack of following, and they came from my group, I made sure anything attached to that was deleted. Meaning that Fatima, who was part of your crew, who had some interesting things to say about me on a particular entity who's now being sued legally, Dominique, and along with the Monet, they had some interesting things to say about me, and I just felt a certain kind of way. Remember, you were also on the page with my children. So my #1 priority is to protect my children. You know who I am as a mother, #1.
Mm-hmm.
So once people came for me and were talking about my children, I had to ask for everybody. You can understand that as a mother.
Mm-hmm. But I never talked about you. Yeah, but I never talked about.
But the people that you were associating with, I understand. But the people that you were associating with did, and I had a problem with it.
So, okay. So, in me being a socialized with them, never engaging them in reading you, talking about you, you just deleted me because of it. Oh, okay.
Well, no, it's just like standing somewhere and allowing somebody to get their butt beat and not saying anything. It's kind of like you just have to basically take that. It's just like a standby. But if you standing by where somebody's being pummeled or disrespected and you're not speaking in defense of them, especially if there's someone that you cool with, then that shows something. Because I would never let anybody talk about you. I never.
Well, in order for us to even talk about this, even beyond this, you would have to unblock me on Facebook.
No, I got your number. I'm gonna call you. Remember, I'm in New York. I don't mind calling you. If you don't mind me calling you.
Sure.
You cool with that?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine. Sure.
All right. So I'm gonna holler at you after the show if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. All right, this isn't the platform. I'm sorry, Mr. Cori. All right. We'll get back to the show. All right, Naima. I'll talk to you after.
All right.
I apologize, everyone. As many of you know, let me just clear up the air for anyone who's listening and who heard that. My YouTube account, as many of you know, was attacked. It was illegally attacked by two women who made false claims of copyright infringement. They were stalking me, speaking about my children, and so on. So, this is live on radio. This should have not been, really talked about publicly, but Naima did call in, and a lot of people's heads were cut off because they were associated and sat idly while a woman was talking about another woman's child who has nothing to do with that woman, knows nothing about her, and also illegally and was stalking and, and harassing my channel for no provocation. Don't know the woman, never really talked to her, have no relationship with her. So this is just, residual from that. So I apologize for everyone who's, being exposed to this. I apologize. We'll return to the show. I'm sorry, Mr.Cori.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Let's go to the next caller. I apologize. We'll clear the energy up. You know how, listen, Flirtbrun will direct. I'm a straight shooter. I will tell you how I feel, and we will resolve it one way or the other. But if you come for me and my family, just know anyone, there will be residuals, whether it be spiritual or legally. I'm just letting you know. All right, let's go to the next caller. Sorry. 323-4879. You're on the line with Mr.Cori and Flirtbrun. I apologize. Peace, family. 323-4879. You're on the line with Flirtbrun. I think I may have scared some people off. Okay, I'll go to the next caller. Next caller, 856-9250. Peace, family. 856.
Hello?
Yes. Peace, family. You're on the line with Flirtbrun and Mr.Cori.
Yes.
Peace.
Okay, how you guys doing?
We're doing well.
Flirtbrun, I've been listening. Good. It's a little bit of a delay over here a little bit, but yeah, I just had a question for both of you guys, and I was just curious about this. I heard you guys earlier talking about the gamma radiation in regards to the Hawk, and sometimes I listen to Rudolph from Germany every now and then, and
Yes.
He talks about the melanin aspect. Yeah, he talks about the melanin aspect of things, but in some way he kind of downplays that to a certain degree, in regards to talking about melanin and the importance of it.
Yes.
And I just wanted to get your take on that in regards to the melanin. How important is it? And I guess I just wanted to get a more of a broad sense of what the melanin is about in regards to the universe.
Okay. Mr. Cori, you want to take that, or you want me to take that?
If I understand what he's asking,
Okay.
is he asking what is melanin, or?
What is?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is with this particular person, Rudolph, he, in regards to the melanin aspect of things, he talks about it, but he kind of downplays it to a certain degree, and I know with you, Flirtbrun, you've talked about melanin in the past.
Yes.
and how it pertains to the universe. Is it important? Is it something that connects us to the universe? What is it actually? I mean, what is it? Something that is? I guess what I'm saying is it something of importance or not? Because he kind of downplays it to a certain degree.
Well,
I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course, Rudolph for German.
It's extremely important.
Yes.
And yes, it does. And yes, it does come from the universe, as you say. Absolutely.
Right. Right.
It has a lot of different. It has a lot of different. Maybe they're harvesting this stuff from us right now as we speak.
Absolutely.
Because they're after melanin.
Yes.
That's what's going on with our organs. It's Dracula, just like they made Dracula. That's what's going on. It's very important. Now I'm going to say this, has melanin, including white people.
Yes.
Okay?
Right.
Everything on Earth has melanin except for spiders. Everything. But we have way more of it. Okay? And that's not racist or this, before you start getting I don't read emails and all that stuff anyway. Nobody knows my email address anyway. But that's true. What you've heard Flora Burns speak, what you've heard, maybe if you've heard Dr. Delbert Blair speak on it,
Yes.
is very important. It is responsible for a lot of the emotional differences that you see in Black people as opposed to other people. It's no secret on Earth, we're the most emotional freaking people on Earth, not even a close second. That's because of high melanin concentrations as it relates to Earth, as it relates to the universe. Absolutely. That's why this notion of, and I'll leave it here, of this phony space program of non-melanated people walking through gates and going into space, it's false.
Right.
And according
And
to
it's interesting too because go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Sunstar. Go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt.
No. And it's interesting too because as I observe certain things, for instance, like for example, there was this show they were talking about Usain Bolt, and they had this white guy breaking down in regards to how Usain Bolt runs and his technique, the angles of his hand motion, his how much power he's using as he's running. And what I noticed about with white folks, they seem to be a lot more analytical. And when it comes to Usain Bolt, if you talk to him, even though he trains and he does what he does, but he just it's just natural to him. It's just something that he does. And to me, I think that has a lot to do with the melanin aspect of things. You don't really think about what you're doing; you just react to what you're doing. As with white folks, they seem to be a little bit more, just analytical things. It's like they have to think. They have to think through things, and it's more detailed in regards to how they look at certain things. So, but I was asking that question. I was just curious about it. I know
That's a very dangerous statement, bro, the way you worded that.
Right.
That's very dangerous.
What I'm saying is you talked about the emotional intelligence, and to me, when it comes to being creative and like with us, with how we do with music and how things just come to us easily, I think because that has something to do with the melanin, being able to get that from the universe. But and not to say, I'm not trying to say nothing bad in regards to white folks. They just, the way they approach things is just different. It's just, they have to take steps, to look at certain things and analyze it, where we just react. You know what I mean? It's just something it's just a natural thing.
Because they're not, again, you got to be careful on her channel because she has such a broad platform. But, I'll just say this, there's differences, and that's obvious.
Right.
So I'll just leave it at that.
Right. I got you.
And what I will say,
So that's all I had.
Oh wait, I wanted to add.
I'm sorry.
I just want to add a little bit, just from my own knowledge of what melanin is. Remember, melanin in itself has its own molecular structure, and when it bleeds onto the surface of the skin, it allows for a certain protection, and it allows for a certain permeation into other fields of dimensions and also galactic interaction. Now, why I know this is obviously Delbert Blair talks about melanin being a passport to the galaxy. Why he stated that is that even in my level of contact as being a contactee, I noticed that my level of contact with other beings leaving on a ship, I did not require to be beamed up in a light. My body was taken as is. I could feel the air. I could feel the ebb and flow of going on and down. They didn't protect me with anything. I wasn't put in a bubble. I wasn't protected with a suit. They brought me up to the ship with my skin. And I then was able to place together like, that's what he meant. They didn't need to do that because my melanin, my surface of my skin, the copper skin that I have, was my protection even out of the stratosphere. It allowed for me to permeate out of our stratosphere without any assistance. Whereas if you lack melanin on the surface of the skin, yes, you will. If you do not have it on the surface of the skin, that's why a lot of the different programs that they have, governmental wise, that is more lunar based, they have jump rooms. They go through into other planets through stargates and jump rooms, as opposed to going out in their body or form out of ships. Because if you do not have a certain amount of quantified melanin on the surface of your skin, just like, and you can look this up, if you look at the rockets, they spray it with melanin because that's the only way it can permeate through the stratosphere.
Right.
So it is necessary, like Delbert Blair, in order to leave in this body and to be exposed to gamma radiation, because that's another reason why I think it was it Mississippi, they were doing the testing on little brown boys with radiation. I think if you look up a documentary, it's called A Hole in the Head. It's a brown man who grew up, he's about 90 or 100 now. He had a hole in his head from the radiation testing and experimentation that they were doing on brown boys. I think it was Mississippi. Don't quote me on that. You can look it up. He has a hole in his head. And he talked about they were doing mass amount of radiation experiments on this young man when he was young to see how much radiation a person of color could tolerate before it actually, breaks down the body. So this testing and this obsession with melanin has been part of the clinical and studies of many different sects of different countries, especially in Europe, where they've confiscated, and also with the multiple, with the heightened black market, which is covenanting brown organs. Melanin dominant beings are being taken, and their organs are being taken away so that it's sold on the black market because of the heightened amount of radiation that's coming on the planet right now with the second and third sun coming online. A lot of beings are bringing, along with other ET groups, a lot of beings are killing people and taking their organs and adding it to their body so that the melanin content of those organs will survive what's the cataclysm that has to do with the magnetic field shifting and also the second and third sun coming online.
Right.
Brother, I'll leave you with this, with your comment. When you say, well, it seems more analytical, this, that, and the other, if you're in your house, okay, and then a stranger comes in your house, you don't think there's going to be difference in the way y'all are reacting? The stranger don't know where to go in your house. Don't know where the bathroom is at. You don't know where to keep things at. You know where everything's at. You can just go grab shit without thinking about it, where he or she has to look more analytical because they're foreign. You get me?
What are you trying to say with that? I'm not really getting what you're saying in regards to that.
Never mind. Because I have to go.
I guess, no, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to say nothing bad in regards to white people. I'm not saying that. I'm just, I'm not saying that. I'm just coming from the fact that it just seems to me, as far as how different races approach certain things and how they react to certain things is different. Not to say one person or one race is better than the other.
I just told you why. I said I just told you why. If you go to China, you're not going to know your way around the way the Chinese who live there do, because you're a foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying that.
Okay.
He's telling you that they're foreign to this place.
You're not getting it yet. Exactly.
She's telling you that the lunars. He's telling you that lunars. What he's stating is that lunars are foreign to this country. That's why everything that's from that place has the natural cues and hues of the planet. It goes by the beat of the planet. If you are a foreigner to the planet, meaning that you're not native to here, you're not going to have the natural propensities that come along from being an indigenous from the planet. That's it.
Okay. Well, I got you on that. Okay. I wasn't. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for calling.
I didn't want to say that, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to just say that. We were,
You had a question.
we here first. I didn't want to, but
That's okay. But I thank you for
You know,
calling in.
even most white people know that by now. Even the most bloodthirsty bigots know that now. So it is what it is,
Remember,
you're right. And still, some people don't want to admit it, but you're right. I mean, the ones who know, they know. Right. So, and you're definitely right about that.
but remember, remember the planet's been colonized over and over again. So there's always different species of people that show up on the planet. So we can't, when we talk about lunars, not all lunars are the same beings and come from the same genetic splicing and dicing from certain beings. Like brown people are not all the same. They're not all Anunnaki.
I don't know what you mean by lunars.
Oh,
you're
Europeans, I say, our European sect. That's what I mean.
Okay, I don't know what lunar means, but never mind. Okay.
Mr.Cori doesn't know what I mean. I mean, when I say lunars, I mean white people. That's the term I utilize. I say melanin dominant for brown people or copper people, and lunars I call that are European sect. That's all. I just don't like using the terms white and black. I think it's negative. I think it brings negative fields. I prefer to use terms that I think are more endearing. So I call our European sect lunars, and I call our brown sect either copper or melanin dominant.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Anyway, thank you, Sunstar, for calling.
Yeah, thank you for letting me get through. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Okay, peace.
Take care, bro.
All right, take it easy.
And just a FYI for everyone, melanin is something that has been studied for a long time, and it's being studied under a microscope by many insidious groups. So this young man's inquiry about melanin is it's really relative because of the heightened amount of harvesting of organs of melanin dominant, especially males right now. So his concern and his inquiry is actually on point. Maybe it's guided by, maybe he's thinking it's something else, but I think we kind of, we resolved some of that. You think, Mr.Cori?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go to our next caller. We have our next caller. Remember, if you have a question, press number 1, please. Press 1. We have our next caller, 323-4879. 323-4879. You're on the line with Flipper and Mr.Cori. 323.
Hey, peace, Claire.
Please, peace.
Cori.
Peace.
Sir.
Hi.
Peace.
Hi. Hi, C-Star.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Carla.
Hey, Carla.
Hi there. I didn't see the movie. Hey, y'all. Hey, family. Everybody.
Carla's on the line.
Look, I'm listening in. Yes. I don't have any questions, guys. But look, I want you. It was written y'all need to be picked, okay?
Yes.
We don't have to. Let's be put around truth with love, guys. Okay, we don't.
Okay.
Everybody's all nervous about how to say certain things. All right. But I'm going to take the next call. Kisses.
Oh, thank you, Carla.
Love you all.
Love you, Carla. Thank you. Peace.
Okay, I'm going to try my best. I mean, 80% chance I'll be in Florida, Mama.
Yay! Come. It's going to be fun.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Mama.
Peace,
All right. I'll see you. Peace.
Thanks, Cori. Love you guys.
Oh, bye-bye.
That was our Carla. Big up to Carla.
I'm not nervous to say certain things, but, I'd be respectful when it's not, my platform.
Absolutely. And also, we have to take in consideration the differences between us are obvious. But what is coming online is that the necessity to acknowledge those differences, but to feel together in a united state of consciousness. So it's okay that I have copper skin. It's okay that maybe I benefit from certain things, but it's okay that maybe a lunar benefits from something else. It doesn't make us necessarily negative or anything. We all have perks and pluses, and we all have our own perks from being genetically how we're made. But obviously, there's been an insidious plan on this planet for a long period of time to suppress and also harm and do things to a specific sect of people. So we need to acknowledge that as well. That's all that basically was happening. So his concerns are definitely, and it's not, I guess, let me just move on. Enough is said in that arena. Okay, so let's go to our next caller. Our next caller is 770-0094. You're on the line with Fleur Bruno and Mr.Cori. Peace, family. I hear a little. 770-0090. Peace, family. Hello. I think, they dropped the line. Okay, I'm sorry. Someone got scared. No, I think the babies were up, so they just didn't want to talk. Anyway, so listen, family, the lines are filled, but people are not pushing the number 1. I'm not going to pick up your call unless you push 1. If you have a question for myself and Mr.Cori, push the number 1, and we can answer your question. You can come on and direct any question until someone pushes it, because I mean, like I said, the queue is full, and I'm not sure if it's my. No, I see it here. The queue is full. Okay, here we go. 717-9938. You're on the line with Fleur Bruno. Peace, family.
Hey, what's going on?
Cool. Peace, C-Star. What's good? Hey.
Hi. It's Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa. How are you?
Good. How are y'all?
We're good. What's going on?
I'm not sure if I have a question. I missed most of this call because I was at a fair. But I will ask this: what was the direction this call was supposed to go in? And then I can base my question off of like what we were supposed to be talking about.
Oh, the Avengers Infiniti Wars.
Oh yeah. Speaking of, I remember I had this dream. Because, I don't know, for people who have seen the movie,
yes,
when he finally did snap his fingers, I saw that in a dream. Like, everything turned white, and it was crazy. But I think you said something about, like, I know we were talking about melanin and stuff, and you said, like, we can't leave the atmosphere unless we have melanin.
A heightened amount of melanin. It's not that everybody on the planet, in order to exist on this planet Earth, you have to have melanin. But there are certain people whose melanin spills onto the surface of their skin. So in order to leave the stratosphere, we know for a fact that there's not been any astronauts that have left this stratosphere. That has all been propaganda. It is not true. That is a fact. And you don't have to even listen to me. You can research it, did that yourself. A lot of that was falsified, purposefully propaganda to make it seem like people actually left the Earth. They've never left the Earth, not via spacecraft.
Right. So how do the Earth then? Is it through portals that they meet the Earth?
Most of the people that are actually going to other planets are utilizing stargates and portals. And also the reason why they also are trying to access certain portals to keep from, like Mr.Cori was discussing earlier, they're coveting it, or they're procuring certain stargates in order to prevent certain groups of ETs coming on Earth that normally used to use those stargates to come back and forth.
Now, I have a question. When you said earlier, when you called and you said you think that was dope, dope means how? When you dope mean cool or dope mean BS?
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Oh, okay.
So like if you meant yes, I was about to say, how do you think the sun is making certain skin wrinkle very quickly? So then the very same type of people are going to fly closer to what's wrinkling them up here further away.
Right. Alternative. No, I didn't come on to this yet. I didn't come on to this call to show any type of disrespect. I know this was kind of this show kind of went south. But
No. I just wanted to know what you meant by, because dope could go either way.
yeah, it could. I'm trying to like remember the movie online and see if I can come up with a question on the spot because
It was a good movie though. It was a really good movie. The movie was great.
Yeah, it was a really good movie.
It was. They are blocking. Oh, people are not able to get inside. Listen, for anyone calling in, hold on one moment, C-Star. For anyone calling in, you have 4 minutes and 45 seconds. The phone lines are getting filled, so just call in now. I know that it's kicking some people off. It just might be that I normally have a capacity to hold a lot of calls. For tonight's show, for some reason, there's a lot of phone calls. So if you're calling in, make sure you call in. It's 515-605-9881. Again, 515-605-9881. They also have a second call-in number. Let me give that to you as well so that you can get through on the line. And that number is 646-787-8311. Again, there's another number, just in case you can't get in on that one. It's another guest call-in number. It's 646-787-8311. So when you call in, hopefully maybe the second line, because again, this is getting filled up. I think I might be close to capacity. It could be kicking people off. So I'm sorry, C-Star. So do you have a question? Did you find one?
Yeah, about that whole like white thing when Thanos did snap his fingers and everything was white. Does anybody know exactly where he went? Because I know everybody else was like just transferred to different dimensions. So where was he?
He went home to his home planet.
They showed that at the end. Yeah.
Like when he saw Gamora, when he saw his daughter as a child and they were like on that water. Like what was that water and like that temple thing? What was that?
Oh, that's
Well,
right.
it's not really his daughter. He took her.
Yeah, I know it's not his daughter, but he went. And the floor was like water, and it was like it was blackish, kind of like a metallic type of glow to it. Like I also dreamed of that too, so I feel like
I'm wondering,
actually been to where
you know what? That's a good question though. I took it as he was doing a recall during his once like that transient moment between going, getting out of the reality and dissipating into another. I almost felt like it was a transient moment, like a dreamlike moment that he was experiencing based on his guilt, and maybe some of the energetic field that he was utilizing to have all this power allowed him to see her as a little girl that he loved. Maybe it was that guilt that brought him there to try to resolve that feeling of guilt. I took it as that. What do you think, Mr.Cori?
Probably something similar. It's probably just someplace from her home planet or wherever he raised her at to make her feel comfortable about what he was doing.
Absolutely.
I'm only asking because I've been there several times.
You have, so you've had that experience of that same kind of placement?
Yeah, I've experienced that similar type of everything going white, and then there's like the floor turns like to this black liquid type of, I don't know what. It's just weird. I don't know. Just checking.
That's interesting. You know what that's interesting is because remember, movies are based on truths. Remember that. So
90 seconds.
Hold on one moment. Anyone calling in, make sure you call in 515-605-9881. If you can't get on that one, you got 646-787-8311. What I was saying, Steve Star, is it's interesting that you said that because I think a lot of times, remember, movies are mimicking some realities that people are experiencing. And the fact of the matter is, you've seen that space. It could mean that you have access to that time, that space, that type of dimensional shift. I think it's in between worlds, almost like a purgatory. I think that's what that realm was, like a purgatory, like an in between. between shifting. You know, when people think they shift from one dimension to another, there's an in-between area. If you saw the Matrix, there's like that in-between area where there's a white room. It's like in between the different dimensions. I think where you may be denoting your presence is in that in-between, kind of like what he experienced. But it led him but it showed him something specific based on his guilt. The way he felt about Gamora's death and him sacrificing the little girl that he took on. Because remember, he had to sacrifice with that yellow stone. He had to sacrifice someone he loved.
10 seconds.
And she just knew he didn't love her until he threw her down there. So it was interesting. I thought that was a very poignant moment right then and there. When she just in her mind knew he didn't love her, and he did. And he could kill her. Just as instantly as he felt that feeling, and she recognized it for the first time is when he killed her. That was very deep. It was. Tragic in itself.
That does kind of denote some type of balance. Yeah, that's some type of balance right there.
Yes, it was
a real messed up balance, but a balance nonetheless.
It was. Thank you for bringing that up, because it kind of makes me resolve certain things that I thought about it. Thank you. Everything's nice to bring out. Sometimes someone else's point of view gives you a different frame of seeing it. You know what I mean? You allowed me to see something I didn't necessarily see previously. Thank you.
All right,
sister.
I will end my call with that, so everybody else can get. All right, see ya.
Peace. All right. Let's go into our next caller. We have 412-0999. I recognize that number. That's one of our C stars. Oh, wait, it went away. Hold on. 412-0999. I recognize the number. Peace, C star.
Hello?
Yes.
It's Chrissy.
What up, Chrissy? Peace.
What's up, boo?
What's up, mama?
I'm having problems reserving my spot.
Oh,
I've been having all types of technical difficulties since we talked. We had a Kiki session.
Yeah.
Everything been out of whack. My phone service, keep cutting up. Somebody hacked my phone.
What?
My cable and my internet went down. I'm hearing high-pitched noises in my ears.
Oh, Lord.
And it's around 10:33, and I'm looking around. I'm writing, documenting this stuff, but it's this multitude of things that keep happening. I'm like, they really trying to mess with me.
There's a glitching. You getting some sort of intermittent glitching. It could, listen, a lot of times what happens is that you could be transmitting this field of, what was the character, Mr.Cori? What's his name? Magneto? Magneto, who has this ability to mess with electronics. So, what we deem sometimes as other people or other things outside of us, it might very well be you and your ability or something showing up that you are fielding out. Because remember, when we change energetically, as we transmute, our energetic field changes. We're no longer the same. You could be doing that to your electronics. You don't even know it, but your energetic field could have changed so much that it's glitching out all your electronics.
Wow. I never thought of it like that.
What'd you say, Mr. Cori?
I said that's ascension symptoms.
Ascension symptoms. Ah.
What did you say again?
Ascension
Symptoms.
Oh, sorry. How you doing, Miss Cori?
How you doing, hon? I'm doing fine.
I'm doing well.
Ascension symptoms, exactly. So
I ain't gonna lie, I've been a little edgy. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, you said you're a little edgy? What happened?
Yeah, because remember I told you my brother's father passed?
Yeah.
And how they was treating him?
Absolutely.
And it's like, I've been stepping up since I've been a yay hack, since I've been 8 for my brother. He's 4 years older than me.
Yes.
He went into the military, did 23 and a half years. I was supposed to go in the military, but I stayed home to help my mother with my younger brother and sister.
Yeah.
Make a long story short, you know what I'm saying? I've been the one that kept trying to keep stuff in order and help my mother with my younger brother and sister. And
I've been happy because of, the wave coming in, but it's also, I've been up and down, like,
Yes.
I've been all right, but in the house, I kind of feel a little agitated because it's like I'm constantly thinking about things from my past and then also stuff that's going on now. But when I go outside, I ain't gonna lie, I be hyped. I be real energetic because I started back doing my boxing.
Oh, snap. Go ahead. Work it out. You're going to need it for the wave. For the purge. Yeah, you hear.
I got a personal trainer. They come to me, and they're doing it for free.
I like that. Pro bono. That's the best. Those are the best ones.
Every morning.
Good.
Huh?
Pro bono. I love it. When they help you out.
Around 5:30, I'm up.
Okay.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
I love that. I love that. I support that wholeheartedly.
And it was, like you said, people want to come to you and want to train you.
Yes.
And they been wanting to train me.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And then I got another person, since I started training, they want to assist me on a couple other things.
Okay.
I told them I'm for it. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Because I know I'm going to be needed somehow, some way, physically.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I just feel it like that.
It's getting bouty because sides. Yeah, it's bouty right now because sides have been chosen. Like right now, we've discussed this.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
Everybody's on deck right now. Either you're a service to self or service to other. Either you're an agreeable, right, Mr. Cori, or a disagreeable. You can't play on the fence anymore. If you about this life, if you're a positive person, if you about living and helping and aiding yourself and others, then you're an agreeable. If you about narcissism, hurting other people, doing diabolical things in your own life, you're a service to self, which is a disagreeable. You're seeing the side. So right now, many of us are being trained in order to feel the energy that's coming in order to be able to show up in a way that's masterful when we show up in our true form, in our true energetic form. So it's all good. You're preparing yourself. Good for you.
But there's also people trying to like really agitate me, and I've been like trying to keep it cool, but I had to let like a couple people know, don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't even the one. Y'all know I'm not argumentative. Like when you was explaining about those people trying to come forward.
Yes.
I was like, if this was face to face, I would have punched every last one of them in their throat.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
I would have been right here beating all of them up. Because they want to be on that negative bull crap. I don't like that stuff.
Well,
that hiding behind a screen.
Yes, yes. A lot of this is
trying to manipulate the line and cause problems. I don't like that. I'm a face-to-face person.
I hear you. That's the thing about it.
But I'm just face-to-face. I'll just square up with you and be like, what? Now talk it now.
Well, a lot of times what happens.
I'm sorry.
Well, what happens online is that people have a lot of issues, and it shows up in them doing things because they know that you can't come for them. So I always remind people, when you come for me, don't be upset when I come for you, because I'm a triple Sag. I always target and I hit my shot. I always hit my mark. So
and I'm a Leo.
Yeah, so we're fire signs. You come for me, so for all those who decided to come for me on an overt level on my internet, you will be met with, force and legal force at that. I don't have a problem. They gonna have problems.
Yeah. Definitely.
Anyway.
Definitely. But I just wanted to let you know I'm having problems reserving my spot.
Okay. Just take your time.
Also.
Just take your time. Allow yourself.
It's like it's not letting me in. I'm like, what is going on? I got the money to secure it. Why ain't it letting me in? And then it's like my phone got hacked and I got locked out my phone. Literally, I was locked out my phone.
Yes.
And I was like, what the heck is going on? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
And I'm just like, I just was like, I'm going to call in and I'm going to tell you about it. Can I just send you some money through PayPal or something?
Yes, that's how you do it through PayPal. Don't.
Universe
That's
like
fine.
I said, by any means necessary, I'm gonna be there.
Take your time. You're fine. You have more than enough time. You know, the universe will align in an appropriate way. You're fine. The conference is here. It's going to.
But it's this thing like every time I like try to get on the link, it's like I can't get all the way in there.
What I'll do is I'll send you a unbroken.
It's causing me problems.
I'll send you a link on Facebook, and I'll send you a regular link. Maybe it'll go through if I send it to you personally. I'll try that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So keep the training.
I can't wait.
Yeah, keep the training up. What I'm noticing now is a lot of our C stars are coming into training periods. Like even with me, I work out every day. It's like we're being trained. We're being prepared for the physical aspect of the changes on the planet. Remember, there's a spiritual aspect of the changes and the metamorphosizing, and there's also a mental side of that, but there's very much a physical. So we need to be physically prepared, physically, for the amount of energetic changes.
Getting real strong too. I'm sorry.
Yes.
My spiritual side is getting real strong.
Good.
Them 7-day candles.
Yes.
They only last 2 days in my
That's good.
Real strong.
That's good.
My answers to the table was real strong. They backing me up.
Yes, but remember, we're coming back online. We're in Divine Feminine is in home court advantage. So women are coming back into their healthy homeostasis. No longer are we really needing any, we're not damsels in distress anymore. We're not requiring males to hold our hand to walk us through the levels of warriorhood. We're doing it on our own with a healthy sense of purpose and self-esteem and capabilities.
Yeah.
So we're here right now. So that's the beautiful part about it. So, I think this is it's a testament. What you're going through is a testament. Just mind that there are beings here that are meant to just disturb you. Disallow it and disengage. Remember that. Don't say anything different. Disallow it and disengage. Just like you can get in a conversation, but don't let it change you and morph you, because a lot of times when beings are trying to poke at you, they're trying to lower your energetic fields to make you more susceptible for attacks. It's almost like somebody, I'm from New York City. Somebody's trying to get you in the middle of an alley, right? They try to poke at you or try to deter you or try to distract you to get you in an alley to try to rob you. That's what's happening. There are beings who are here purposefully trying to distract you, and what they will do is they will do everything necessary to make you take you off your road to get you to the alley, so a couple other low field entities could come at you and break you down. Disallow and disengage. It's unnecessary. You know where you at.
Yeah, but I had to confront a couple of people like, what? We got a problem? I had to just go like, we got a problem. Let me know now.
I understand.
Don't be kicking and talking behind my back, because I'll say it to your face, whatever's on my mind.
I agree.
Oh, well, I don't got no problem with you. That's what they're saying. I don't got no, I got my eye on you, letting you know. I feel it. I sense it.
Yes. Well, I think everything is coming out. So I think there's not much hidden. Like everything is basically showing itself and revealing itself, which I think is beautiful, because that's what we want.
My intuition is really heightened. Good, as it should be. On peeping out certain things that's going on and problems I've been avoiding, but I had to let some people know earlier yesterday morning, you know what I'm saying, to their face, like, what? And they said, well, ain't no problem. Yeah, all right. And I walked away.
Good. Walk away.
That's after I got done. That's when I got done training.
Okay, well, good.
I was outside training.
Be the bigger person. Yeah, walk away. Anyway, C-Star, it was so beautiful talking to you. I'm gonna send you.
Okay, well, I'm not going to I'm not going to take up no more of your time.
No worries.
But
I will definitely keep. I'll send you the link. Probably tomorrow, or the day after. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, peace, sister.
Love all of y'all.
Love
all
you
over
too.
The universe.
Peace. Oh, that was beautiful. That's our Chrissy. Anyway, let's go to our next caller, 727-6794. Peace, family. You're on the line with Flurbrone. Oh, wait. Where'd it go? 727-6794. Peace. Peace.
Okay, am I on?
Yes, you are.
T, am I
Pete.
on?
Yes, you are.
Oh, great. Okay.
Hi.
Oh my God, I didn't know what to ask. Hi, I didn't know what to ask.
Oh, no worries.
Oh my God. What can I do? What kind of coffee do you drink? Starbucks. What kind of coffee teach me?
That's the first time I've been getting asked that question. That's so sweet. Well, I drink a Starbucks double shot every day, but I've stopped drinking caffeine for the last, I think this will be the fourth day.
Right.
For the fourth day. So it's normally a Starbucks double shot. I get it, and that's my favorite drink. So yeah. But I had to stop the caffeine because it was disrupting my sleep. So and my peace of mind.
Right, okay. Have you heard of chai tea or whatever that is?
Chai tea. I'm not a fan of chai
tea.
Yeah, I have I'm not a fan of chai. Yes, I'm not a fan of chai tea, but I have I have a brother who loves chai tea. I'm not a fan though.
Okay, yeah. Okay, have you heard of Dark Man X?
Dark Man X?
On YouTube?
Dark Man X. That sounds familiar. What is that? Can you just...
Okay, he talks a lot about Moors.
Oh, okay.
He talks about the Moors and that a lot of us are Indians and we're not from Africa. And he talks about how that we're American or Aborigines.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know. Check him out. Get a chance. And
Absolutely.
that's what he talks about. And we're not Moors. And there's so many people, interesting people that talk about the same topics and have a different perspective on a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. And that's what makes our
But
world...
anyway, I'm okay, are you spiritual or you're not a Christian or you just spiritual?
Well, which
are
one?
You just into metaphysics?
Well, spirituality doesn't just limit one to religion or is it necessarily you incorporated religion to be spiritual? I'm more of a person who's connected to nature. I believe in universal creation. I believe that we are all splinters of source, that we show up in the world as a reflection of our source, and we are learning and evolving in order to spark a higher what you would consider to be spirituality in order to... Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just think we're sparks of... Yes, I can. I personally know that we're sparks of source. That is my personal stance. I am one with nature, but I'm one with source, which is considered to be God of the universe, goddess.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily... I'm not anti-religion, but I am not pro-religion. I believe there's truth in every aspect of what shows up to teach people how to elevate themselves in a spiritual way.
Okay. Well, I just want you to know I'm Gemini and my birthday is this month, the 28th.
Okay.
And
happy pre-birthday, Gemini. You're an air sign.
Right.
Yes.
And they say, you're a Sagittarius. You're a Sagittarius. They say that's my opposite.
Yes. Yes. When I'm angry, I turn into you. When you're angry, you turn into me. Usually when I'm going out of place, I turn into a Gemini. When I'm angry or I'm out of sorts, I will go into my Gemini side. When you're upset or angry, you'll generally go into your Sagittarius side.
Okay. And like right now, I'm not living in my space. I'm not living where I'm supposed to be living. And I'm having a hard time. I'm like with my throat chakra. I have a hard time expressing myself. Come to find out, and I'm just not living to my full potential.
Well,
and if you could give me some advice.
My number one advice is to clear space. Whenever we're stultified or whenever something aspect of ourselves is being blocked, clear spaces in your home. That's the first step. Clean corners, clean corners in your house, allow free-flowing chi to come through your house. That will allow you to feel free to resolve things that are showing up as blockages. And when it comes to communication, be mindful of the people around that may be starking around you, people who are suppressive of who you are at your core. It's not that they're necessarily anti you, but they may not be open to or receptive to your truths. So remember, people, places, and things matter. Clean your space, meaning your entire house, from the rooter to the tutor. Clean corners. Bring in water in your house. Have water fountains in your house that will help clear up your chi. Once you clear up your chi, then allow for you to isolate yourself a little bit and disallow those who tend to suppress your opinions or suppress who you really are at your core. Omit them for a little bit until you clear up your own, resolve your own ability to express yourself in a free and passionate way without feeling starken or oppressed or censured. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. That'll be all.
All right. Peace, Star. Thank you for calling in.
Sure.
Peace.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go into my next caller, 253-8926. You're on the line with Flora and Mr.Cori. Peace. 253-8926. Oh, you have to take it off mute. 253-8926. You're on the line with Mr.Cori and Flora. Take your phone off mute, 253. Going once. Going twice. I'm going to try it again. 253-8926. You're on the line with Fleur Broom. I think that might be it. All right. I'll come back to you. 252. Let's go back. 252-6365. You're on the line with Fleur Broom. Peace, family.
Hi, it's Shannon from Cypher. Hey, Mr. Cori. Hey, Saru.
Hey, Peace. Who's this again? I'm sorry.
It's Shannon from Cypher.
Oh, Shannon. Hey, Shannon. That's one of our own. Hey, Shannon. I love it when a family calls on.
Hi.
Hey.
So I had to. Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I had to call in and ask because I'm in North Carolina.
Yes.
And I'm really interested in knowing more about the portals.
Okay. The portals we have portals all over the earth. There's portals everywhere. Now, there are portals that sometimes are accessible by, remember, there's portals that come inward and outward. They're two-way portals. Now, what happens a lot of times, depending on where the ley lines are, some portals get activated by at a certain time, maybe every 1,000 years, sometimes every 1,500 years, sometimes every 5 years. There are certain portals that are activated on a time setting. Then there are portals that are only activated when stimulated by a group. A group is coming in or out. They're able to access the portal and be able to travel through in and out. Some groups are human, some groups are not. Some of the jump rooms that the governmental systems have created have the ability to jump through to specific planets. They found a way to reverse engineer some of the original portals that they found, especially in the late 30s and 40s, and they've been able to access, I know very much so, Mars, I think, and Venus as well, and the moon. I know definitely those three places they were able to access. Now, when it comes to certain things, I will say this. Just like I tell you, and many of you know, I have a connection to the Andromedans, which are Earth. They were Earth females from an empire that was a matriarchy at the time prior to the last cataclysm that went on the inner Earth and found a Stargate, which is another portal, which they did their exodus out to the Andromedan star system. There are specific people with a specific sequence in their genealogy. Listen, nobody will tell you this because they don't want you to know. There is a specific people on this planet that are indigenous that come from here but had access to other places and planes of existence. and other galaxies. Based on the sequence in their genealogy, they can go to a portal. The portal reads their genealogy signature, and they will be able to access that specific portal. I have a portal that was told to me when I was very, very young. I didn't know what it was at the time. And it gave me a specific ley line where I would be able to access a portal. And there is, like I said, there's portals everywhere, and some portals show up again, certain time frames, certain times of years, certain after a certain period of time, they may be accessible. Some portals are broken, and then you get something like the effects of like the Bermuda Triangle, where you're getting permeations into other dimensions because the portal's been manipulated so much that it no longer holds a closed and open. It's just open all the time. That's also a portal. So I hope I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did, because North Carolina is like really close to Bermuda, and so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff going on here in general as well. So thank you, and I just want to get off right now because I know a lot of people are probably trying to get through. But I'm just so grateful that you do what you do, and like you helped me just develop and grow so much, and I'm just so appreciative of you, Mr. Cori, and everybody else. So you're awesome, and just keep going.
Aw, thank you, Shannon. I appreciate you too. All right, have a wonderful evening. Peace. Mr. Cori is actually on a call right now. Mr. Cori is actually on another call right now while he's waiting. So you know how Mr. Cori is. He's here. He's here in the show, but he's actually on a call. So if you don't hear him for a moment, it's because he's here. Peace, Famil. This is a private number, 1111111. You're on the line with Flirt Room. Peace.
Is that me?
Yes, it's you. Peace,
What's up? You need to tell me. I called in to talk to the brother.
Hey, Barry Littleton is on the line. Hey, Barry, what's good?
What's up? I see you called my telepathic message because I was telling you pick up the.
That's crazy, but you know, but you know what's crazy about that? I hear crickets before you get on. You know that, right? I hear the crickets.
I'm walking by the creek and the crickets are going off.
Yes, I hear them. They're talking to me.
I'm not doing my nightly. I survived 4 traumatic brain injuries.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Trying to walk it off. I heard the crickets. I was
just appreciating life. That's pretty good, though. I mean, if you heard them before, you actually picked up.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Because they started going off just before you answered.
Well, they recognized me. I told you. Yes. I knew you were I knew you were friend, not foe. At least for now.
Yeah. It's been an interesting night for you, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I prepared for this. Yeah, I'm locked and loaded. The wonderful thing about being a New Yorker, it sets you up to be able to deal with any sort of combat. You could deal with anything. Sitting on the subways at 241st Street, big up to all my New York brethren who sit on the subway. It sets you up so that you could handle any adversity, any conflict, anything. I'm about this life, Barry.
You know, that's so interesting to hear you say that. I've never been to New York. I always want to go. But,
I know.
I've been hearing a lot of people talking about these beings that come out, especially in New York and Chicago, and they appear to be at first like the people that clean your windows, or they'll come up to you and they'll ask for money. Oh. And before you can actually give them anything or do anything,
they disappear.
They disappear right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, they disappear. Those are.
What? Sorry.
Oh no.
What is their name?
Oh no. Go ahead.
What do you call those?
What did you say?
What do you call those?
Those are we call them timestamps. What it is that there are beings that pass away and die, and they're perpetually locked in a loop. This is what I know some of them to be. They're locked in a loop, and what they're doing is they're in survival mode. So it disallows for them to transient into the realm of, when you pass away, there's a moment where you kind of linger and then you move on to the next level. These people are stuck in that transient level. We call them they're apparitions, but they're timestamps. So these are people who always did that every day, but they were always in that mode of survival. that's why they continuously do it, because it was the way that they survived all the time.
I got you. That's an interesting way to kind of contrast that, because when I go into a haunted location, a lot of times I may feel something that is a phantom. You know, and I say that in the way of a phantom image of someone that did the same thing day in and day out, and then a part of their energy can't cross over.
It can't.
And still doing that same thing.
Yeah, especially when it's based in survival.
Wow, I never thought. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's taken on into the street factor there. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Thank you for illuminating.
Well, the reason why I knew that is if you knew well, the reason why I knew that, no, he's probably on the line. The reason why I knew that is because I think I told you I was a freelance photographer when I was young, and I used to sit in the subways and Grand Central Station with the homeless, and sometimes I would go and I used to meet with certain homeless people like every week, and I bring them food or cigarettes, whatever they wanted, to sit and talk with them and take pictures. And there were times when some of them would die, you know, spontaneous deaths. Sometimes they would have strokes and they didn't have medical or anything, and if they died, you know, they would pass away. And then when I would return to the spot, I noticed that I would notice their signature was there still. Like sometimes I would see out of the side of my eyes, the peripheral of them walking in the same spot that they always walk, the same place they would sit. There was actually a man, I'm getting chills now, there was a man who you always used to meet me because he was excited that I would bring him cigarettes and a sandwich and a cookie. I'd bring a cookie. And he always used to meet me like every other Friday, because I was going to college. So he would meet me like every other Friday or something like that. He would be excited. He reminded me of my dad a little bit. So I was always excited to meet him. Maybe he was like in his 60s, maybe 70, maybe late 60s, 70. And he died. I didn't know because I would go there, but I remember seeing him for a second and running to go to him and saying, "Where were you?" And he disappeared. Not disappeared like you said, but it was more like I thought it was an illusion. And then I realized it was this timestamp. Later on, you know, hindsight is 20/20. Later on, I was able to field in the fact that we call them timestamps. People who are loopers, who perpetually do the same thing. And I noticed the same criteria was they were always in a desperate mode of survival. So they always did perpetually the same things. That's why they loop still. I know Flubber's lived a life. I've lived a life. I've done a lot of things.
No, that's heavy. That's heavy.
Yeah.
You know, I want to touch on something else I heard you mention today.
Yes.
Concerning melanin and getting on board a craft.
Yes.
You know, that's one of the things that we've been told and we've studied that is actually not true.
Okay.
And I had, you know, now that I've gotten, I can tell you what happened to me, but then more on top of that, I want to talk to a lot of brothers and sisters that have had experiences to see. I even did 2 videos called the UFO levitation beam.
Okay.
And what I want to know is because I've always been told that since we had melanin, we didn't have to go through any type of a disinfectant.
No, we do. We do have to be disinfected. No, we do have to be disinfected. That I agree. We have to be disinfected. Violet or blue lights. Yeah, we do.
Well, you know, I for most of my life had heard that we did not.
Oh.
And since I hadn't undergone some of the things that the melanin deficient people had, contactees, I thought that maybe that must be real. But come to find out that actually the light I was taken up in, especially the first time I had this adult onset experience missing time, so about 18, 19.
Yeah.
This ship actually lifted me up in a beam. It was actually a blue beam. Okay, and when I get into this room, so I did a video on this too. This room is called the UFO anti-gravity room. Is what I call it. And in this room, there's this blue column. You watched that video.
Yes.
And also this black box.
Yes.
So the black box there isn't for souls. It's for, they call it an inertial damper. This thing is sitting at about a 90-degree angle on the wall. It's really, really large. It's huge. And when I'm looking at it, it makes me start feeling sick.
Yes.
Looking up at it, that's the first time I started feeling that temporal aphasia.
Temporal aphasia,
temporal distortment that our bodies can't handle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, but you know, nonetheless, that blue beam, I knew it was connected to this blue column that was in this room. And what they're telling me and downloading me with is that this column is got a type of uranium plutonium in it, and also water. okay, and magnesium. It's
Ah,
a combination of
yes,
magnesium.
yes.
And when I'm not a chemist, but when I look this up, I find that there is actually a type of plutonium. When water is with it, it starts decaying. I think they call it Pu2. Is the number of it.
Okay.
But it actually has, it begins turning up, because normal plutonium is gray.
Yes.
It starts turning a blue when it starts decaying like that. So then I started thinking, I said, well, goodness, that means there's got to be a slight radioactive part to this light.
Absolutely.
And I'd always heard that the disinfectant light was purple. At least that's what the melanin deficient people have always said, like the supposed whistleblowers.
Yes.
They say it's purple.
Yes.
But this color was blue.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this just goes something I think that's
I love
interesting.
that.
You know,
I love
like
that.
when I hear like ships can't go into space unless they have melanin.
Yes.
Actually, the anti-gravity is actually an orgone. It's actually a type of orgone that they put around. But before they make a frequency jump, that orgone and that the energy that they release around the skin of the ship actually does become a void. And it does become a melanin-looking thing. And whenever you see a real UFO picture, if they're getting ready to make a frequency jump, you'll see that black void starting to come around the ship and coming from the bottom.
To help it, to assist it.
Especially in the older pictures.
Yes, I agree. I absolutely agree. And I think when we talk about the melanin being sprayed, it's really on the archaic ships that are, like the the shuttles going up from, Cape Canaveral and whatnot. They still spray it with the field of that around it. Now, mind you, the United States of America has heightened technology that has been alien reverse technology. And that's where you see a lot of these triangular ships as well. Some of these are those high-speed anti-gravity ships that they've perfected since the Nazis. So yes, there's a combination platter between the different ships and how they're characterized, but also the field of the disinfection that is definitely needed for every being. It doesn't matter. Even Delbert Blair said they don't want us on their ships because we're full of parasites. We have all kinds of microorganisms on us that, he said that. He said we have all kinds of microorganisms on us. He was like, they don't want us up there. They don't. So, but when we are taken up, every microorganism is actually, because we have ticks on us, we have parasites, we have lice. We have not everybody, but I'm just saying there's people who carry a lot of, there are people that are more parasitic than not. I mean, everybody has parasites to a certain degree. So when you're going on ships with these pristine beings that are not even really corporeal, right? Some of them are not even really corporeal. So we're getting on these ships with these beings who are hypersensitive, energetic-wise. We can't come around them unless we've been disinfected and sprayed and dyed and cleared. We cannot. And they mess with our energetic field as we mess with theirs.
Something to interject real quick, not to interrupt you, but if you remember the original War of the Worlds, the original one.
Oh, yes, the 1950s one.
Impervious to everything. And what is it they got them? They came out of the ship and the bacteria got them.
Yeah, the bacteria. Remember? Yes. That's the number one War of the Worlds. That's right. It was just the bacteria that actually killed them. Yeah. Bacteria is the alien. Listen, they talk about it all the time. You even have asteroids that come here who have a bacteria on them. You remember that movie, Barry? I know you remember it.
Yes.
You remember that old movie? Was it from oh my gosh, was it from
Creepshow.
Creepshow, you remember it? When he had that fungus on him and he was
Stephen King on that one.
Green. Oh my God.
That meteor was called a crinoid.
Yeah.
That creep. There was an episode of Doctor Who with Tom Baker where they had pods that came down. They find in the Arctic.
Yes.
In the I think North, maybe South Arctic. I don't know. But anyway, they turned into these crinoids. It's the same thing actually.
Ooh, that was like you remember what I was talking about? Yeah, it was gross. Ugh. That creeps me out.
They just found a new species of tardigrade, which is called the water bear. And the water bear is, goes into a suspended animation. And when it does that, it becomes impervious to like everything, even cosmic radiation. So they know that tardigrades are capable of interstellar travel.
Yes.
But
yes.
what's interesting in Japan, in a parking lot 2 weeks ago, they found a new type of tardigrade that is completely different, maybe even can endure more. And so when I think we're looking at, species from type 2, type 3, type 4 civilizations that are interacting with us, and I got so many responses. I think everybody that watched my last video on black extraterrestrials. I didn't think anybody would check it out like that.
Of course.
Really did good.
Yes.
Something I wanted to mention on there is that we're dealing with a civilization like that, a type 3 melanin-dominant civilization, and the way they're interacting with us, I think is through what's called radiotrophic fungus, which is the fungus that was found on the walls of
Chernobyl. Yes.
Yeah. And the other one too was the reactor in Japan there. But anyway, that actually takes certain you, Mr.Cori, talking about the Hulk, who originally Stan Lee wanted to be gray because plutonium and gamma ray would have been gray, not green.
Oh, okay.
But green seems to sell more. Anyway, that's interesting. I'm glad. Lou Ferrigno looked better probably green.
It did. It worked out. He looked like Frankenstein. Frankenstein was green too. Remember they made Frankenstein kind of green? Though he's electric. Well,
that's right.
Remember the Frankenstein? Yeah, the original Frankenstein. He was green. Yeah.
Boris Karloff.
Yeah.
But that radiotrophic fungus actually converts radiation
into
by using gamma radiation into the energy, and more than that, the growth cycle.
It regenerates.
So my understanding is
it replicates and regenerates.
Yeah, we have some advanced type 3 or 4 civilizations, melanin-dominant civilizations, that have tried to help us by sending the radiotrophic fungus.
Yes, I agree.
For radiation cleanup.
Yes.
But that's overlooked. We think that maybe they have to be beings our size. Many civilizations, through mineralization and the pico, as it's called, can be actually the size of an apple, could be the whole universe. So we got to be aware of that. And who might be really trying to help us.
Well, size.
I don't think it'd be more of your time, but
no.
I wanted to talk to Mr.Cori before I got off here.
Well, Mr.Cori, I don't know where Mr.Cori is. Mr.Cori's on the. Mr.Cori, you there? I don't think he's there.
I had a question specifically for him.
I know, Mr.Cori. I don't think he hears because he's on the other line. Because he's still on my line, but he's on his other line. I think he got frustrated when when a couple people called in, kind of pissed him off a little bit. I think Mr. Cori was like out. Mr. Cori bounced.
Let me tell you though, it's been one of those days that a lot of heated stuff are coming up. It feels like Aries is in the air. You know what I mean? Just a lot of that has been coming up today. I myself just almost nearly attacked somebody in the support group.
Oh Lord! Oh no, Barry, don't attack the support.
Brain injury survivor. Him and I really don't get along. I think he's a racist. He's always got something sharp to say.
Yeah.
And today I told him, you say one more thing to me, I'm probably gonna come up there and hand you your head.
What? You sound like Chrissy. Chrissy was telling me. Chrissy said the same thing. Chrissy was like, if that girl got on the phone with me, she was like, if she was in front of me, I'd pop. She was like, I'll punch her. I think there's an energy going around, and I think it's a very strong energy waves coming in. It's just making people very sensitive and very it's very kinetic. So I think it has people driving them on edge a little bit. But remember, I'm a triple Sag. I'm used to that heightened energy. So when people come, I'm ready. I almost want a target practice. When you come at a Sag, when you come for a Sagittarius, when you come for a Sagittarius, Sagittariuses are built for fights. They're built for war. They just are. So when you come for a Sag, I'm a triple Sag. I'm always ready for the training. I was like, oh, this is training? Bam! Yeah, it's all good.
I hope that I'm really looking forward to that conference. I appreciate
oh my gosh! Oh, let's talk about it.
I am a bit.
Let's talk about it, Barry.
I'm a bit worried though.
Why?
Well, I mean, I don't walk around. This only be the third conference I've been to actually.
That's not a real people who have contactees for a number period of time are really just really balanced, because whereas we may have started out being really big and staring in the sky all the time and really being over the top, once you're used to it and it's been a part of your world for a long time, you don't really make a big deal about it and you don't obsess with it because it's what you know. Like, oh, there's a craft. Okay, well, that's cool. Oh, look at it spin around. You know what I mean? It's never really, I think sometimes, you know, it's not really that big deal. But let's talk about the conference, you know, because I've been in conference mode. Big up to Ty and also Martha, who met me at the place that we're having the conference is in a castle. You know this, right? Barry, we're having our conference in a purple and white castle, which was picked by the Andromedans. So for anyone who's not been in a castle before, this is where the conference is being held. In the conservatory. So it'll be really exciting. Also, you know, a lot of people are really making it to the conference. You know, they're setting up their time and so on. So I just want to say, you know, for those who are setting up to come to the conference, come. Barry's going to be there. I'm going to be there. We got, and also, listen, Ray called me today and he was asking about you again. He said he's excited to see you again. He was like, I'm so excited to see Barry. He was like, face to face. He said it again. So Ray Hernandez is coming. Yes, it's crazy. So, because I was asking him about the people in Miami if they're coming up. So Ray Hernandez is coming, of course. Sonia Barrett is coming. And of course, we got our own Ja Vega coming. So, I mean, it's a power-packed day. If you have nowhere else to go, Orlando is the best place to be at that time. Come to the conference. That's in July 14th. It's on a Saturday. It's a day after our Divine Shield, so you're protected as you travel. And come and hear some galactic conversation. You're not going to hear everything live because we're going to keep some private intel for people face-to-face that we don't get a chance to talk to them like that, so that, you know, certain things we can talk about privately as opposed to, you know, televising it and putting ourselves on the spot. So, you know, it's going to be a masterful conference. Please come. You know, you can contact me, 13flurbrune13 at gmail.com. 13flurbrune13 at gmail.com. Come. Barry and me are going to be dropping it like it's hot.
It's wonderful because something like this has never been done before. There's never been a melanin, like UFO type of conference like this before.
No.
I've looked around. There's nothing I've ever seen. I was always looking for one. So I think that's really cool. And it'll be nice to get on the same page with people in person.
Absolutely.
It's completely different when you're on YouTube, man.
I know.
The trolls getting away so much on YouTube, you can't hardly even communicate with people.
It's challenging because, you know, a lot of times, and that's why we created our own little spaces off of FB, because it's basically, you know, you go on YouTube and you share things because you want to collectively meet with like-minded people. That's the point. That's the reason why we do it. But when you do gather and you get your group of people, YouTube is such an open platform that those who do not wish you well, those who have psychological issues, those who are mentally disturbed or stalkers have access to you. They have access to you.
Yes, indeed. They come out of the woodwork on you.
They do. But it comes with, but like I said, it comes with the territory, because really at the end of the day, when we first came out, at least when I first came out, when I spoke about the lack of people acknowledging us or accepting the fact that we were having heightened amount of experiences with extraterrestrials, I think for me, it was tough because I'm having experiences and I know UFO conferences and I know people who are into ETs, but none of those people would accept, nor would they even believe that what I was experiencing was true contact, and they would black out any information that I would share with them, purposefully, like Carrie Cassidy. When Norman Brugman, you like this scene, I say it to Barry all the time, Barry gets happy. Norman Brugman.
How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it?
Right, Norman Brugman says, they were black. He wrote The Ringmakers of Saturn. So, Barry loves when I say that. It was poignant because people really understood why I got a Carrie Cassidy. And even to this day, I can't rock with her. Many people mention myself and Barry to her. She knows of us. Why I had an issue with Carrie is because that's not just one interview. There were several other interviews where she purposefully, listen to me, family, purposefully was blacklisting brown people having experiences, and not only that, she was blacklisting information regarding melanin dominant ETs that were in contact with some of those brown people and lunars, because the melanin dominant ETs were not just visiting brown people, they were visiting lunars, and we know for a fact there are plenty of lunars who have experience with black quote unquote black ETs, but because the experiences that they're having with these ETs is not what they say are positive, they don't even want to talk about it. So we don't even get into that conversation. So
wow. Which groups was it that she was trying to sequester?
For what? Oh, what do you mean? Carrie Cassidy?
Cassidy, which groups was she trying to sequester? Was it Andromedans or which sect?
Remember, she has all different sects. The one that she was trying to claim for herself?
No, I was just wondering, who was she trying to really cover up? I mean, not just melanin.
No. I think it was the Centaurians and maybe the Anunnaki. I think it's a Centauri, but she doesn't know. But one thing with the Anunnaki that she'll state is she said that the Anunnaki are Nordic. This is where I take issue with some of her intel. She says that the Anunnaki are Nordic, that they were the ones who actually built the pyramids, and they're the ones who are on the hieroglyphs in Egypt. Now listen to that. Okay, so we know that the people in Egypt that are on those walls are likened to the people who live in Sudan and Ethiopia and Yemen today. Everybody knows, if you are educated and you know your history, Africa was a full continent. Middle East did not come about until later. That was all considered Africa. So there was no Middle East. The name Middle East did not exist. That was considered all of Africa. The beings that are actually on the walls of ancient Kemet that are in the hieroglyphs are likened to the people that you see today, still in existence in Yemen, Sudan, and in Ethiopia. So when you start getting people that are totally oblivious or purposefully, quote unquote, whitewashing history and denoting that Anunnaki are lunars, which is not true, and saying that those are the beings on the Kemetic walls, then she has no credence. That's when I just think she's lost her mind. You know, it's not a matter, this history, everybody has history, but just to overtly denounce the true people that were on those walls, that's crazy to me. So I have no respect for Carrie Cassidy.
I'm just going to throw this out because I'm about to do a video on it.
Okay.
And it's this thing, okay? One thing is this. First of all, I see this thing, the people getting branded because you have contact. Automatically, you're supposed to be enlightened. And I've heard many people say that of both cultures. All cultures saying, well, I talked to them, and they said this and that. I saw them drink a beer. Oh, they're not enlightened. And I'm hearing that a lot. Okay, first of all, because it says that you have contact, that suddenly you're Paramahansa Yogananda. You know, you live this perfect life like a guru. Excuse my language, but that's bullshit, all right? It is straight bullshit. And I've been to several of these conferences, all right? And there are two of them now. And I'll tell you something I've noticed. And I saw it, like, when I was younger. I've been to 3 of these conferences now. The first one I went to was when I was, maybe 20, 21. It was with Randall Winters that spent a bunch of time with Billy Myers.
Okay, I know Billy Myers.
I had physical contact, so I wanted to see these ships and all the pictures he had.
Yeah.
Okay, when I get there, and it was a real contactee that was hosting this event. And I get there, and when I start looking at these pictures, I was so disappointed. These look like wedding cakes on invisible wires like Christopher Reeve. And I mean, I was really disappointed in that. And these toys that were supposed to be laser guns, it was insulting. You know what I'm saying? Especially somebody that had real contact. And I go to some of these conferences, the ones I've been to just recently, all right? And I'll say this, okay? And I'm speaking to people right here. When I was having these contacts, it was not like what I was reading in the media. That's a lot of BS, half of that. Nothing was like I was being told. Okay? And then you see these people in the media that aren't who they claim to be. They can't do what they say. Okay? They're not really contactees. And I'm going to do a video on something that's called Ultron energy, all right? Which is the energy that I'm sure that anyone like you or me that's really been on one of these ships and near one of these engines, we get exposed to a certain orgo type of radiation this engine puts off.
Mm-hmm.
It irradiates our cells.
Yes.
Okay? So that gives the ability for us to be not just tracked by the government, but they know who we all are.
Mm-hmm.
But it also gives the ability for us to recognize each other.
Yes.
And if I'm going to equate that to something, when I get around another real experiencer, another real contactee, at least if they've dealt with higher beings, I get a certain feel. It's like the Highlander. People remember the Highlander series.
Yeah.
When they got within about 30 feet of each other, the immortals, they start buzzing, is what they called it. They could feel each other, which is basically a maniac when he's trying to cut your head off. But anyway, on this level, it's a way for us to identify each other. You know, certain things I noticed too. These people that claim to be these advanced contactees, they have all these tattoos.
Yes.
Most contactees, for whatever reason, don't have tattoos. I don't. You don't.
No.
I know many. The only person that breaks that is Peter Slattery. He's got quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of him, yeah, he's a real contactee. But outside of him, that's just one of those things. I'm probably should keep throwing out information like that.
Yeah.
But man, this is a way to identify people that are not who and what they say they are.
Absolutely.
And if I got in the past,
you weren't supposed to say that. You weren't supposed to tell them.
So much money at these conferences, so much money. Because I'll tell you, somebody right here in my own town probably asked me. They said, "Oh, Barry, weren't you part of the secret space program? Haven't you been part of the conspiracy?" I said, "No, I have not, and no, I was not.
Wow.
My experiences have not been like that."
Yeah.
But that is what sells. Reptilians sell.
Yes.
Gray sell.
Yes.
Hybrid children sell.
Mm-hmm.
That all sells in the media. Not positive contact, not what we're talking about right now, but let me get around some of these people making these money. Like I've been around a few of them that were on the panel with me, okay? And they're not contactees when they're saying they are. And I know when we get each other's energy and they start avoiding me like the Dickens, they get away from me because they know I know.
Absolutely.
Now, the attendees
are usually contactees, yes.
Real
yes.
Contactees.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
The people attending the conferences, absolutely. Absolutely. You see that more so than not, yes.
Those that have the money
to afford to go.
Get the fortunate to get there. That's why I commend you for trying to do something that is where everyone can get to.
Absolutely.
For an affordable price.
I agree. I agree. And I made it so that, because the point of the matter is that we don't have to beg to go on anyone else's platform and to talk about our experiences. We're going to create our own spaces where we can freely discuss with very many people. The difference between the conference that we're doing and the conferences that mostly are being held is that our conference will have a plethora of different complexions, different nationalities, different cultures. We will be incorporating everyone in our conference, as opposed to the other conferences that usually leave it more isolatory to only a small demographics of people, and it's usually based in an elitism setting that only allows those who are in the Bilderberg, it's not really the Bilderberg, but you know, they have a cushy, you know, they have the ability to pay for these conferences that are usually very, very expensive. So I think it's purposefully done. I think, what is it, CoPro? I always say it wrong. The CoPro has taken over the ET conference communities for a long time. Like you said, I think most of these people are charlatans. They are just utilizing that particular genre as a come up and to be able to gain resources and finances and, you know, for themselves. You know, again, for the conference, the reason why I gave the conference is to raise money for the sanctuary. That was one of the #1 reasons why I monetized everything, and that was the only reason. So, you know, for that reason, my integrity, I kept it as real as possible, so I let people know that I'm doing this, but believe me, that everything that I'm doing is for a purpose. It's for a higher good. If not just for me, just for others like me.
Yes, you know, that's a big deal. I can't say that enough because, you know, when I was having these experiences, hey, I was missing time.
Yes.
Even though these experiences were positive, I wasn't getting hurt, but still, I was missing time. It made it hard to try to go get my college studies done.
I know.
It made things difficult.
It makes you lose it.
You know what I mean? You can't think about hardly anything else. And I look to the media, and I'm seeing these frauds, or just a couple of people that might be real, but then they're they're just, like you just said, dominating the whole field. That's all you hear about.
Yeah.
And in my experiences, like any of theirs, so I had no frame of reference.
There's
for
nothing.
anything. That's one of the main things that make me speak out now.
And that's
Because
also
a
why.
lot of what we're told is not.
But that's also why it's being hidden, and that's why it's not being. That's why we're not being let on a lot of the bigger platforms. Because if people knew that there were others that looked like us who were having heightened contact with beings, it would scare the pants off of some. It really would. Because if you believed, if you knew that brown people who are on a planet where they're being overtly oppressed are experiencing heightened amount of contact by beings with technology that supersedes anything that the places where they're existing, where they're being suppressed, have, it would scare the pants off of those who are living in a more suppressive mindset. Oh, where's Barry? Hold on. I gotta wait until Barry calls back. Blog Talk ended. Hold on. I actually want to talk to the family because Blog Talk ended. We're off Blog Talk. I want to apologize to anyone on this. You've never heard me come at anyone on the platform. It just, things have to be addressed sometimes publicly for a good reason. So I apologize to anyone that I offended by having someone come on. It wasn't appropriate, but you know, I feel like don't start 91B9. If you know me, you know if someone comes at me, I'm going to address it because I want to put a public stamp on it. Okay? So I do apologize for anyone who felt any kind of way about a little bit of the conversation earlier. It wasn't intended to be public, but they called me out publicly, then it would be publicly dealt with. Can't stop, won't stop. Anyway, let me get Barry back on the phone so we can end the show properly. Okay, so hold on. Sorry, everyone. Let me get Barry. Because I think Barry's still talking. He probably thinks he's still on. Let's get Barry back on. You missed it so much. I got you. Where's Mr.Cori bounce after all they killed the whole, someone came on the line. We'll go, hey Barry, I'm calling you back.
What's happening?
Yeah. Let me fill in everybody that happened because I just apologized. We're off Blog Talk, so I can kind of talk. This is just my Patreon and also my Cypher crew. I just want to.
We're actually live then?
Yeah. I mean, Naima called in tonight to think that she was going to say something about being removed from Cypher. Did you hear it? You heard Naima?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah. I mean, she got a little nervous when I didn't back down and let her know about herself, you know, and I think a lot of times bullies do things when they think they can get away with it. You know, when you think that you can get away with doing something debaucherous, you know, a lot of times online, people don't realize people are friends of friends of friends. When you go and talk about someone or you sit idly when someone's talking about someone's children, but you're on their site, you're on their Facebook, don't be shocked if they don't want to mess with you, if they don't want to rock with you anymore. When I put her on the spot, you saw how she backpedaled. She got a little nervous because I'm calling her out. Don't come for me. Some of your cronies were speaking a lot of debaucherous things and saying things were untrue. She sat there idly and allowed them to say all kinds of things. And also she contacted one of our own on Facebook here, right? I'm not going to name who it was. She contacted somebody on Facebook and told them that I'm a witch and that I'm taking energy from the divine shield. I mean, all kinds of madness. Naima's known me since the beginning. You know this, Barry. And I've been her number one advocate. Number one advocate. I've always defended Naima. People will say some debaucherous things because of Naima's choice in gender. I've never let someone sit idly and talk about her and disrespect her and think that was okay. I expect the same in return. So if you're not about that life, then we don't rock together. No, if you don't like me, don't be on my platform.
You know, I gotta say, knowing that I didn't know the full deal of what was going on that deal, but I will say that I will maybe hope that y'all will be able to work something out, because the energy that I got from her when she called and when she talked from the very beginning on through wasn't
it didn't seem like an attack.
No, it
You
didn't.
know what I mean? Yeah, because when she attacks, it's a whole different.
Oh no. She came humble. No, she came humble. But remember, I already heard what she said. So it's like somebody went and stabbed everybody. It's like someone went and threw daggers and through my window and broke my windows, and then they come to my house and ask me why I don't like them. Do you see what I mean? So it doesn't matter how humble she came to the platform. She already threw daggers. So you better be bowdy when you come in my direction, because I'm not going to be as cohesive with you when you've already set war. You've pronounced war with no invocation. I'm not one to start any problems, but I will finish it. I will finish it. Yeah. So, you know, it's unfortunate. And I think, you know, she thought that she would call in tonight to ask me why, but she already knew why. At that point, when you've done something to someone who's never done anything to you, who's never said anything negative to you, who's never met you hard, the only time she really had a problem is when she was removed for her own actions. That's it. I don't have a problem with Naima, but I'm not rocking with her. I can't trust anybody who's a flip. I can't trust anybody who could do that. Nor would I. Yeah. Transparency, thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, we were going in on Avengers. We're talking about Avengers Infiniti War. You got somebody who's calling on the show. It's inappropriate for her to do that, but I wasn't going to back down from it, and nor would I not address her publicly, because she publicly talked about me dastardly. So I will address her publicly, so she feels badly about what she did. Some people have to be confronted with their deeds. There is absolutely, because when I said to her, weren't we friends? Did I do anything to you? So what was your reason? Oh, because you were removed for hanging out with people who were speaking dastardly about someone's family.
You know what you're doing, don't you?
What?
You're triggering me because you remember how I got did.
You did.
I'm not even going to mention that. You know, I mean, but
right?
He's got everything in the world to say about me.
Yes.
When you know, everything's bad to say about me, but everything is black this, black that.
Yes.
This and that person is saying they're not acknowledging black extraterrestrials, this and that. He's got something to say about everything. Mm-hmm. But nothing, he's not talking to any of us that are real contact people black.
That was one
of they're coming right there. They're Malcolm X. And the truth is, behind closed doors, this punk was up there asking me questions like, oh, Barry, I see orbs all the time. What about these orbs? And look at these pictures. And sending me all those pictures of themselves with the nerdy Caucasian girl. But then they're talking like they're Malcolm X to everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're going to come out against me and saying, oh, he doesn't talk about melanin enough. And try to tag team me with some comedian punk that's not even a real person.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
It's true.
Those are weak.
It's true. Well, you know, Barry and me already went through this. We went through this cycle already with Barry being the target. And we already been through this. So we know the course of action that it takes, because there was an agent that really, actually, I'm grateful he brought me and Barry together. He's the reason why me and Barry actually met. But he was an agent. He was somebody sent in to contact those who were melanin-dominant contactees and to cause dissension. And he would contact all these different contactees that were brown people and cause ish. Like, he was watching us, obsessing with us, but he's not part of that field. We figured out he's most likely an agent. And he, you know, he coerced a couple people, like one person in particular, that was mentally unstable, that was special, right? And, you know, I thought that was tragic because he was somebody who was special, and he kind of utilized him to get at Barry, and then eventually, you know, he X-made for me as well. So this is something that comes along with the territory. We're used to it. So, you know, when something like this happens, because we've been part of a field where people don't really have appropriate ways of dressing people personally, because they can't get at you, they will come through your platforms to try to cause ish. So I've learned, if you kind of come for me, I'm going to publicly lash you. And you will get, because obviously I live a clean life, you know, I do. I live clean, meaning that when I come for people, it's because it's been come for me. You know, I don't start any, but like I said, I will finish it every time. You know, yeah.
When you say that, it reminds me of the Highlander series. Wow.
McLeod was real cool, but every now and again, he would come for another immortal.
Yeah.
And he was bad. He was bad. And he would tell them that you do that and I'll come for you.
Yeah, I'm chilling.
You talk like McLeod.
Yeah. You know, we're chilling. We've created a platform. Me and Barry have created platforms where people can come together and talk about things that normally we would be criticized for, we would be judged for. We're expressing our experiences with a level of trust. But when people violate your trust, then I feel like it's my right to X them out of every aspect of me. If they don't like it, then they shouldn't violate someone's trust. You won't hear me talk about anybody on our platform. Even the girl who did what she did to my YouTube, you didn't hear me talk about what she did after she left. You didn't hear me talk about Maria after she left. I did not talk about them. I didn't disregard them. I didn't disrespect them. So when they leave, you know, just like that girl Dominique, she left. She was talking all kinds of disgusting things about me. I didn't address her publicly. And know what she did? Because she was obsessed with me. She had some sort of unhealthy obsession with me. She went to my YouTube and lied, which she's going to be sued for. This is what I'm saying. Don't come for somebody who has time and energy and resources to come at you. She went to my YouTube and shut down part of my YouTube based on not knowing me. Never talked about the girl, right, Barry? Never talked about her. Don't know her personally. She made up all kinds of lies, and a group of our people were following, including Naima, who sat there idly while the girl was talking all kinds of smack about me, never defended me, never said anything to me, but sat there and is upset that she got deleted from my YouTube. No, if you're down with that sack, stay on that fence.
Hey, wow. It's a trip because, man, I mean, it's, for the most part, just trying to give information.
That's it.
You can talk to the core, man. I mean, it's...
Yeah, that's it. We're just trying to share. It's not that serious.
You know, I'm upset one or two people on your platform, too. They got mad over something
I know.
And I said the same thing is yes. Because you come at me wrong, I'll tell you off.
Yeah, well,
and I'll do it with zero remorse.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I mean? And people will find in person. I will do it in person.
Barry doesn't hesitate. I will say that.
I don't. You know, and the fact is that those two punks that try to tag team me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As soon as I discovered what was going on, I was on to them. But they both slithered off like punks into these holes.
They did.
But they got plenty of time to talk on social media, talk crap.
Yeah.
Well, one of them just disappeared. He's not even a real person.
Well,
and the other one just makes a bunch of videos cussing that you can barely even listen to what he's saying because he's something wrong with him. You know what I mean? He's obviously, and I've come to a place where people can say whatever you want. They say I'm an asshole. They're probably right. I am. But the point is, my experiences are real. They can attack me personally and put me down, but they can't never seem to attack the knowledge I give out.
That's right. Absolutely.
You know? And then you start listening to these people. They're real good at projecting hate. For what other information are they giving out besides that?
Absolutely.
Are they giving anything that's helping somebody that might be missing time? Or somebody that just had an astral projection and they don't know they couldn't control it? Or somebody that just had another being jump in their field of awareness, whether they're on their way to work.
That's right.
Something that really happened. And it's fun to make fun of people like us or talk trash about people like us until something happens to
them. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, they don't realize we're about this life. We were teased. I was a nerd. I was teased. I was bullied. So when beings come for me, remember, I can sit comfortably as I am and be unfazed by it because that's what I've experienced in life. That's why making a platform with people like us, all the geeks, all the people who are black sheeps of the family, we've made our own personal platform. That's why when people come for us, it's a shame. Because if they're not being able to sit comfortably amongst those who have been extradited from society based on their experiences, based on their level of contact, based on their own maybe frequency being a little unleveled with the other sheeple that are existing, then that's a telling sign that maybe they're agents or maybe they're part of the dark cabal that are existing and they need to stay in their own neck of the woods. Because we're pretty stay in your own neighborhood. There's no reason why you should be in Cypher. But the funny thing, everyone, family, let me state this to you. I can say this with so much certainty. every single being that has been removed from Cypher, I will tell you this, they won't tell you, has begged to come back to Cypher. They have gone to others and asked to be put back in Cypher. So if Fleur is such this dastardly being that they declare that I am, why would you want to come back to the platform that you stated that this woman is a witch and a devil and whatever else that I am? Why would you want to come back to a platform if I'm that evil? That lets you know that it's not real. There's something else behind their motivation if they want to come back to Cypher. Because if it was really about me being negative, they wouldn't want to be part of it. Outcasts are usually the ones who wake up from the Matrix programming because we see it. Yeah, we see it. Absolutely, Dylan. Yeah, I mean, you know, so just it had to be addressed. I didn't mean to do it. I kind of did a Barry tonight. I set her straight. I know she didn't come for blood, but she already drew blood. She already drew blood. So once you drew blood, you may come to the door like, oh, I feel bad. But you already, you know, basically she put a sword up preamped. So I'm ready for war. Why are you here? Don't come to my house if you don't. Listen, if you talk smack about me, if you've done something dastardly, don't come to my house. You deserve whatever you get. And remember, it's not just Fleur. There are beings that rock with me. So probably these beings come to me because they can't sleep at night. They're getting entities attacking them because they're not being nice. So that's why they're coming for forgiveness, because maybe you shouldn't have started the ish and maybe you would be able to sleep at night. You don't do anything to somebody who doesn't do anything. I don't start with anybody. I just drink my coffee. And I haven't had coffee for 4 days now.
Oh no, lady, you all right there?
Yeah, no, I'm cool.
You sounded like Run DMC.
Yes, I didn't start coffee. So you coming for somebody who's on detox? What? No, it's all good. It's all good. So I just wanted to clear that off. I didn't want to do it on Blog Talk. I'm probably going to delete that. Mr.Cori left the building. Mr.Cori does not like that. He's probably pissed off, you know, because he can't say anything publicly, so he don't want to even get involved in that. But it just wasn't appropriate. And I just, unfortunately, I knew that if she called, I was going to address it. So it is what it is, you know.
And by the way, did you say dastardly deeds?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, I said dastardly deeds. Hey, Nora. Yeah, dastardly deeds. I'm just saying, you know, and I wanted to address it with our family because this is just Cypher and Patreon. But, you know, I just, like I said, Fleur has zero negative intent. I don't want to. The only person I've ever given any angst to is my ex, which is a Nazi who I dealt with. I don't talk about anybody. Nature Knot was the only one I came at, is because I had issues with him and knew him from before. That's the only reason you heard me come in Nature Knot. I don't have time to put energy into hating people because I'm putting too much effort into uniting people. So the fact of the matter is, I can't address every time someone's disappointed that I don't return their email. A lot of times, family, you don't realize when people come at me, it's because I haven't returned their email. I can't call them back. I can't give them personal attention because I'm a mother. I have a mate. I like to talk to Barry and other people on the phone. I don't really have that much time other than when I give you my spare time when I'm with you. So people get pissed off at us, right, Barry? If I don't call somebody back or text somebody back on email, people take it personally and they start throwing attacks. So I can't address that. That just comes with the tape. I figured it comes with the territory at this point.
Well, you know, I get dozens and dozens
of emails,
and texts. A lot of people send me private messages, and at first, I try to respond to everybody.
Yeah.
I've been doing everything I've done is free for the last 4 years, since my mother died. That's been 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, it comes to a point where some people will just take, and other people just have certain questions they want to ask you, then they dog you right up and they get what they want to know. You know what I mean? And all that stuff, it'll burn you out to a certain degree.
It does.
And it comes to a point now to where I don't respond very much anymore. I don't respond on YouTube, and I can't respond to everybody. I just don't have the time nor the energy. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm going to Patreon. I'll probably start doing some consultation sessions and stuff like that. Something where there's got to be some type of remuneration. I can't just keep giving and giving and giving
because somebody put a program of spirituality and said no matter what, you're never supposed to charge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, also,
you give everything for free until you're dead, I guess.
Well, also, the reason why we went to Patreon, at least for me, is because the trolling stops. Because if someone appreciates you, they do pay for the site, but then you don't have people who don't like you and just want to rip you apart just randomly for free. That's all it does. So that's all Patreon does, is separate the cream from the crop. You know what I mean? It just does that. So it may seem, some people see it as like being a little, like Flourburn, you've been, available to us for 5 years. I have. But I told you, especially when I was creating something for the sanctuary, I was going to monetize everything. But actually, Patreon was specifically designated to get rid of trolls. And it does. So, and only people who want to go on Patreon. I don't force anyone. If you want to go on Patreon. You don't have to do it. You get me a lot on, now you get me on Instagram. Now you get me on the Secret Squirrel group on YouTube. This young lady came at my YouTube account. I've never seen anything like it. She stalked me. You would think that I had something with her. She stalked me to the point where she didn't hear anything from me. And as soon as she found out I was having the conference, she went crazy. She lost her mind. And she decided to attack all my videos and lie. See, when she perjured herself, she put herself in financial harm and she put herself in legal harm. See, she got so crazy and obsessing over me, she put herself in harm. It didn't make sense. We're all here just to share. It's not that big a deal. That's crazy. It is. That to me is insane. I have bouts of insanity as far as thinking about the things that I occur with the level of contact I get. But when someone obsesses with a person and has no sort of like gear to where it should stop or end, that's insanity to me. And I think some people need some legal ramifications for what they do, especially online. You can't do things to people and think you could get away with it without censure or without repercussions.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Just like right now, if you're a man, you better not try to grab no booty. You see the fine woman, you better not try to squeeze no booty. They will get you.
That's right. You're right. You crazy. You crazy.
Better not do a Jack Tripper.
Jack Tripper. No, I'm saying it's a little insane. I said it must have been a hell of a dream she had about me. No, I mean, I think, once you become, right, Barry, this is what you notice too. Once you get online and people notice you, you become something different to people than what you may seem, right? I think people see us as differently sometimes, and it gears them, it may trigger them, it may bother them. I think, speaking to women of color, I think there are some women of color who have a hard time thinking that I can actually be happy or that I'm actually pleasant. They think that this is an act. If you met my mother and father, you would have known that this is what was reared. Under a household of very simple island people that were very kind people who everybody loved. They reared a child who has a similar disposition. So if somebody doesn't know that as a person of color, they should want to accept that there are women of color that are actually happy, that are actually have a sense of love about themselves, that actually aren't angry all the time and spewing hateful things all the time. I think that's the presumption that women of color are just mad. What's wrong with a woman of color actually wanting to be united with everyone and wanting to bring around love or wanting to bring around information based on contact with beings that want that unity within a lot of us? So I don't see what's wrong with that. The fact that they can't accept that is a detail to their consciousness, their lack of self-awareness, and also their sense of self-loathing. That's number one.
Yes. Yeah. You get what I frequently got. This one.
What did she say?
Are you mixed in it? No, I'm not mixed in it.
No, mixed in it.
you got any contact? No, I got any contact.
Well, you're gonna get those questions.
Where I come from, we've heard light-skinned black men with green eyes are trouble. I've heard that many times.
That's crazy. But remember, we're touching very many different demographics. Like you have green eyes. Not many people. Maybe there are people in certain areas who've never seen brown people with green eyes. Also, remember, I'm Caribbean. I'm normal to the Northeast. Like, people see people who look like me in the Northeast because there's a lot of Caribbean women. There's a lot of women who look like me who are also from the Polynesian Islands, who are from Hawaii. So I'm very normal in certain neck of the woods. But when people see me from other places where they don't see women of color who have the same hair or look, I may seem foreign to them. So they think that I'm something or they think I'm something different, and it's hard for them to accept it. So I'm just, like I said, I come from simple island people. I'm Creole, and I'm grateful that I am who I am. So I think that comfort, and also I'm not a kid. You know, I'm also a woman of a certain age. You know, that's another thing. You know, once you get a little more seasoned, you start to like yourself better. You really do. You start to feel better about yourself. I mean, in my 20s, I probably had more issues with self-esteem than I have now. So it does come full circle. So I think a lot of times people don't know my age, and they think that I'm younger than what I am, but I'm a woman who's very seasoned. And that should tell you I'm not a child, you know, walking. I'm not just on the block. I didn't just make it on the block. That's what it is a lot of times.
Not the new kids on the block.
No, not the new kids on the block. I'm not doing like the dance. you know, I'm a lot of the sea stars who listen to us. I could be their mother. I really could. I could be their moms. So I don't really detail them as anything else. I really treat everyone pretty cohesively, unless you piss me off.
That's
unless you piss me off. Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I can say, and a lot of people probably aren't aware of this, but I promise you, of anyone you hear talking or has come forward, I was the one that was the most likely to never do it. And I certainly didn't think it would ever go as long and as far as it has.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was one of those people, I was always fixing to talk about my experience.
Yeah.
I was always fixing to do something.
Yeah.
I was going to tell people, but I was never really going to do it. Because I had a great career, and it interferes with your career. You know what I mean? And things like that. So it's easier just to keep your mouth shut. And number two, let people start saying, well, you must be crazy. Because they can't believe that you've had any type of this stuff that's happened to you.
Yeah.
So it's easier just to stay quiet. Then I had this accident. I take 4 traumatic brain injuries. I died twice on the way to the hospital. I have a near-death experience that completely superseded my extraterrestrial contact. You know what I mean? The angels I saw when I died were completely different vibration, different energy, and they weren't physical. They were pure light, pure consciousness. Yeah. And I came back knowing that when they said I'd be a vegetable. And when I didn't stay, I guess when I didn't stay dead, they told my family just to beware that I would be devoid of short-term life memories, but especially long-term life memories.
And you're not, oh my God, your memory is like on point.
And they said be a vegetable with a feeding tube, and we need that the rest of my life. But let me tell you, the Creator had something else in mind.
Absolutely.
But had it not been for that accident, I never would have spoke out. I was sitting there, I went through so much trauma after that, and so hard trying to reconstruct my life. You know, one day before my mother passes, she's sitting and I went to check on her, and she kind of got her head on this bed, you know, on this chair. And she's sitting there, and she says, boy, they sure were wrong about you. I said, what do you mean? She said, that eerie memory they gave you, that you have. She said, you beat everything they said. I knew what they were saying was bullshit anyway. She said, but you beat every outcome that they said. But they said you beat, your memory would be impaired. And it is not. And she looks at me, she says, you're supposed to do something. That's why you're still the way you are. And she wasn't feeling good. She laid her head back down. I was going through crap. I said, Mama, what is it? I'm having hell. I lost my crib. I lost my car was compacted. I'm waking up, and I'm being told it's 2 months later. You know what I mean? And I'm just on my way to work. I mean, what is it? And she's like, and she looks up, she says, I don't know. She said, but it's important, and I think it's really important. And she put her head back down, and she passed probably 4 or 5 days later.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. But that's before I'd spoken in Peter Maxwell Slattery. Excuse my language, is on my ass. the dude won't go away. We were communicating over regressions, and it started through Twitter when I'm doing my day business. Actually, we started communicating through Twitter based on a regression, and he just keeps at. We start
Skyping, or we were talking with me, he says, I'm going to start doing this show, and I want to know if you'll be my first guest. And I was like, hell no. I said, man, I'm not going to be on there. Well, first of all, I had brain injuries that I recovered from. And then I did tell people I've had lifetime long extraterrestrial contact and contact with inorganic beings. Yeah. I'm not going to. Are you kidding me? No way. Yeah. And that was just before my mom passed. And then after that, my brothers told me, they said, actually one brother, my oldest brother told me, he said, the other brother says it's this white dude who wants you to be on the show from Australia, and you keep saying no. I said, yeah. And he says, man, maybe you should do it.
That's right.
And I started thinking about what my mom said, that, yeah.
And I remember the day, like before when they asked you to go to the Infiniti Ranch, and we were talking about it, I was like, and you were hesitant too. You were like, I don't know if I'm gonna go. I'm not a nature person. Da, da, da. I was like, Barry, you gotta go. I was like, the fact that they're asking you, it's you'll have a good time, and you had an absolutely phenomenal time. You did. You went, and it was everything that you did not think it was. But you were so darn hesitant. I wanted to kick you out the door and tell you to go to the conference.
We're on Patreon, right? I don't want to offend nobody. Let's get it real. I don't want to sound like a real a-hole, but you know what I said? I said, hey, look, I'm not going to go way up in the mountains and ring a bunch of crystal bells to go see an iridium
flare. You said it.
I'm not going to do that.
You said it too. You were like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. I was like, go. Because you know what? It's like, and I think this is where our parents came into play, because you were really phenomenal when my father passed. Like, you were just, I'll tell the story every time. I sat outside the pizza shop in Mount Vernon, where I was close to where I used to go with my dad pizza. I didn't want to go anywhere. I just sat in the car, and Barry just talked to me. He had lost his mother. He had such a compassionate heart, and you just brought me back to somewhat myself. You know what I mean? You gave me a level of reprieve at a time when I was mourning in a way that I've never experienced. A loss of a parent is nothing that you can ever explain, especially I was a daddy's girl. So losing him made me feel lost. And, I really appreciate the fact that you really sat candidly and we talked for hours, and it just really helped me through that trying time. It was just a transformation of my soul, just accepting that transition. And my father came right away. He did, but it wasn't a resolve for the physicality of him losing him, which was interesting.
Yes, it's different. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it was horrible. Not because my dad had such a beautiful accent. This is one of the things many of you don't know. Some of you who knew me from I was young, my father had the most beautiful accent. That is very unique because he's from St. Lucia, but we have Martinican background. So it's not an accent you hear. So it's very difficult. And I think I told you that, Barry. It was so difficult because I just wanted to hear his voice. There would never be a voice pattern that would ever sound like my dad. So that was a big deal for me. Like, it didn't bother anybody else, but for me, I wanted to hear his voice. Like, that was something I just knew would comfort me. It was interesting that what bothers you when someone passes. It's not rational necessarily. It's just something that you didn't notice when they were around, and when they pass, it's something that you draw on. So you talked about your mom, and I think we know our mom and dad got collectively together. I know they did.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
We talked about that.
I think that's connected to this conference. I can feel that.
Absolutely.
I had a problem because my brother and I were very close. I have 3 other siblings, and they're much older than me.
Yeah.
My oldest brother is in his early 60s.
Oh,
so
wow.
He's a great deal older than me.
Yeah.
My sister's like 2 years younger than him. My other brother's 56. He's a great deal older than me too.
Yeah.
By a whole lot.
Yeah.
So
That's
anyway, I was definitely an accident. But and I'll say something on here that I won't say, and I've never said publicly. But I'm a medium also.
Yes.
And I can communicate with deceased people.
Absolutely.
And and it was something that I got traumatized as a child, and I'll say this to anyone listening right now: if you are a medium and you have these type of abilities, because every psychic is not a medium, but every medium is a psychic.
Yes. Say it.
So, but I will say this: when you're a kid, if something may happen to you, like what happened to me, I got attacked. I mean, I got attacked by somebody. Some of us are such crooked people and so hateful that when we transition, we become something else.
Yeah, until months.
And I encountered something like that in the house, and it attacked me. And I didn't know exactly what it was, and basically a bully coming up and picking on a 7-year-old kid, 6, 7-year-old kid, you know, get out and squeezing me. You know, like what it felt like, the only way I can describe this, as I'm walking in this basement with my mother and my aunt. At first I didn't like this place anywhere, but this new house they're renting, but this basement was really creepy. And it had just like these old Maytags in there, a Maytag washer and dryer, like 2 or 3 units that looked like they were the first made by the old company, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm down there and suddenly I get, and the only way to describe this, if you ever have a football player come up behind you, a big friend come up behind you, just grab you from behind you with their hug, like a constriction, you immediately, you know, you expand your lungs and things like that. That's one reason a snake can't actually crush you till you breathe on the first time.
Yeah, because they get that anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like that. And then my telepathy went off. And it wasn't in pictures the way it normally comes in.
Mm-hmm.
These were words. Get out. Not welcome.
Ooh.
Get out. And I felt it. I felt the hate.
Run.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But I see now that was also, he knew I could see.
Yeah.
So he attacked me. Or it felt like a male presence. He attacked me. You know what I mean? And that's a way to make a lot of us kind of shut down our abilities.
Block the ability.
The first thing was like, oh my God, I don't want that. No more of that.
Yes.
Please, God, take that away.
Because you got that experience, but you didn't get the opposite either. Because had you had a balanced, like a really masterful, beautiful experience, it may have balanced it out a little bit. But because you had that fright, as a little person, you couldn't resolve that in your mind. It was hard. You're a little person. You can't describe that. You don't know what that is, and you feel unsafe. So yeah, it's interesting. Spirit bullies are easier to deal with than lowercase humans. Listen to what Dylan says. Dylan says, he said spirit bullies are easier to deal with than lowercase humans, physical ones, because the physical ones you get in trouble for kicking their asses. That's basically it, Dylan.
I'm going to throw this at you though, really, and I don't mean to be morbid, but on a serious level.
Yeah.
Do we get in trouble for cussing on here?
No, we're not on Blog Talk.
Okay. What the fuck is this place? Look, what the fuck is this place, man? You've got these souls that incarnate here just like you and me, and they're running this place, destroying everything. I mean, we all see that. We see the vibration coming here, but even less than this, more than that, you've got just free reign down here on dark beings, dark inorganic beings. They just run around down here. You've got people that can't cross over. They're all messed up, and they become like demons almost when they're there. And you have these other things, like anybody that likes The Dead Files is a good show. I actually get a lot. I like Steve DeShavel, and I like Amy Allen.
Yeah, you were telling me to watch it.
Yeah, I get energy off Amy Allen. She's the real deal. More than I do most TV mediums and psychics, okay? Mm-hmm. Also, they came to my hometown twice or 3 times, so I like that. Anyway, but check out some of the sketches she does and some of the beings she's seeing at these houses. And some of the ones I've encountered, like around where I live, and certain haunted houses I've been to, the things where I live tend to come up from the land. There's a lot of Native American mastery here, so a lot of Native American stuff comes out of the land, even before the house itself would be haunted. You know what I mean? But when you see some of these things she's sketching that are attacking people in their sleep, some things I've seen attacking people in their sleep. What is this? These shadows down here? These things can roam around down here.
They do.
This is the prison planet in several different ways. That's everybody saying, oh, everything's going to change here. The light's taking over. Evil's going to be gone. More bullshit. Everything's getting worse here. This is the place I think it's always going to be that. This is a very hellish place.
I put my lifesaver on. I'm trying to help you, Barry. I got the lifesaver on.
I'm just being honest. I'm just saying that this is a very hellish place. And you've got certain criminogenic souls that come here, you know, like that sexually raping kids and this crap that goes on here. That's a soul thing, man. It's not always environmental. These are souls that come in. You've encountered them too. You're dealing with these people right now. Yeah, these people that are so bent on hate, they can't even feel. No, they can't even feel the love vibration. And anyone listening to us right now, they know somebody like that. They're dealing with people like that at work.
Of
I mean, it's like these creatures, man. And it makes you think, what kind of souls is it that gets trapped here in this prison?
But what I heard is that they were saying that we had a time on the planet where those type of souls were allowed to come on the planet. From what I heard is that the beings like that will be disallowed to come in the next version of this planet. So people can't give birth to those type of incarnated dark beings anymore. They won't be allotted on this planet.
Well, I better get started.
Everybody's pregnant, but everybody's pregnant too. So it'd be interesting to see who shows up, because everybody's knocked up at this point. I've seen so many pregnant women at this point, which is beautiful. But but that was the message that I got, is that there was a time frame where we had to go through a training, just like we had Wave 13 on. We're going through a training. This is a training ground. The training field, like the gauntlet and the gladiator field, you're not coming with like sane people. You coming with warriors. They're gonna throw every bit of harshness at you to test you. It's like the Andromedans. Somebody said, do the Andromedans help you when you're battling? I said, no, they don't. They watch you until you die. They will do that. Andromedans will watch you battle because they want the best. They don't want weak-hearted people. They don't want people who are inceptible by, mates or real low-field materialism. They want the hardest. They want the hardest and the best. So they will watch you, and they will see how you're able to deal with adversity. That's the number one thing with the Andromedans. A lot of people don't think that. They think that ET groups are supposed to come here and help you. They don't come and help you. They watch you. They observe how you deal with your own ish. They don't come and help you. They will only...
They give the beat down a weak man.
Yes.
Give some black eyes.
He's talking about Ron Otep. Ron Otep had a run-in with the Andromedans. We can't talk about this on Blog Talk, but Ron Otep had a run-in with the Andromedans. And he,
the other cat too.
Yeah, they took him down. They have a problem with Ron Hotep, so they did. He's laughing. They did a number on Ron. That's why he looks the way he does. Yeah, he should have never messed with them.
I can't talk about this. I can't breathe. I'm just laughing. Please stop. I ain't know that, brother, man. I ain't got a problem with that shit. I'm gonna say it again. You remember how Mitch Blood Green was back in the 80s when he fought Mike Tyson in that club? And he was doing that press conference. He had his little Jerry curl. He kind of looked like Show Enough from Last Dragon. But he's sitting up there. He said, "Yeah, he hit me." And then he shook his hand like a little sissy, and he ran and jumped his limo and took off. And he said, "Next green blood Green, show us the eye, show us your face." He took off the big old Blues Brothers glasses, and when he took those off, his eye looked like a steak. It was just like, wow! It was almost down to his lip. I'm like, damn! Everybody, the whole room went, oh.
That's a beatdown. That was a good old-fashioned beatdowns when people, remember the days when people just used to fight? They didn't get dirty. It was like, okay, they're going to fight. Okay, we're going to battle. We just going to go body to body. That's those times. No, but I'm saying Ron Hotep, Ron Hotep had, that was messed up because people were like, what happened to you? And he said the Andromedans, the Andromedans and I having a problem.
Have the glasses on.
Yeah.
Have the glasses on for the first 5 minutes of the video.
Yeah. It was hard. I mean, it's horrible.
Do you understand?
He's afraid of them. He's afraid of them. Yeah, I personally don't. I personally know that he did some dirt, and that's what he got. So, like I said, their integrity, the Andromedans, the sect of Andromedans. Let me state this: the sect of Andromedans is a female base. They're warriors. They are loving, but they have a different way of expressing it and how they show up, and they don't deal with men very easily. So if you're a man that is not about that life and you have insidious thoughts, they'll do that they did to Ron Hotep. Was it 13signsastrology.com? Yeah, they came for him.
So let's go ahead and throw this out. Since we talked it on Patreon. We can talk. Now, but I always tell people, so okay, between that and somebody else that we know that got beat down, these women, I couldn't stop laughing, okay? Like, I can't stop laughing right now.
started laughing as soon as it happened. It was terrible. Look at him, he's dying. He was like, wow, the Andromedans did that. I was like, yeah, they got at him. You know, and
I said, what did they say they was going to do to him? After they already beat the brother's ass. What did they going to do to him? He said they said it was going to take him out.
Yeah, they wanted to take him out. I think he's just tweeting. I think he's still tweeting, but he won't show his face anymore because they damaged him for life. They're like that, though. They don't respect men that do harmful things, especially if he tried to be down with them and he did something insidious. Yeah,
this is when you first introduced me to these women and this whole concept of that. Yeah. I've dealt with the Andromedans, but there was little blue cats.
Yeah. But you dealt with one. You remember, we think that was the one that you met one already. You did. Yeah, we suspect her. We suspect that you met one already.
Yeah, or she was in Earth, or I don't know, but what I see. And that brings up, we didn't even talk about that. That brings up my own personal problems because she was so fine that I was wanting to try to hit it. I wasn't even getting the spiritual part of it, man. She had to snap me out of that, man. See what I mean? There's definitely truth that there maybe some sort of pheromone that is an ass kicker.
Barry, we're online.
No, I'm being honest. I didn't say anything wrong.
I put my lifesaver on.
I'm just being honest. I was 21 years old, man. I mean,
I took my lifesaver out. I got you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, point being, I'm always saying that on a serious note. Yeah. Is because when you look at things like Star Trek and the Orion slave women, the green women. Yeah. They were supposed to emit a large amount of pheromones that really messed up men.
Absolutely.
Now, what's very interesting on the Star Trek Continues, that spinoff they had Lou Ferrigno show up as one of the Orion slave masters. So he was green again, like the Hulk.
Oh wow!
But what's interesting about that, when they get done, it turns out, they say although all these slave masters are all pumped like Lou Ferrigno, they say, you really don't get it, do you? It's the men that are the slaves in our culture.
Wow.
The women run everything.
Wow.
And they've been tricking everybody the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the matriarchy.
The fact is, she was.
Was that the one where Captain Kirk had the cuffs on and he was being pulled around? Is that the episode? Remember when Captain Kirk had cuffs on, and was it that episode when the women were pulling him around, like he was slave, they were trying to feed him grapes, but he was.
That was Captain Pike on the original.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the original Captain.
Okay.
And Kirk did one episode where he stepped in on that. But put it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's I think that there's that's probably where that idea came from.
The Andromedans.
And now that I'm a little bit older, I know that there's something about her. She was emitting something.
Yes, the
it,
Andromedans, because remember who they're down with. They're down with the Sectilians, and the Sectilians are known to have that pheromonic harmonics going on. So because of that, remember they have access to those pheromonic points. They actually. I don't want to give too much intel, but they have that incorporated in their very being, that pheromonic harmonics that entrains men's minds. So they have the ability to pull a man through and hold him, his subconscious mind, based on the fact that he's being consistently induced with that pheromones in her system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's energetically. Yeah.
She used to get my attention actually. And by coming up and dancing on me, and I don't dance.
Yeah.
I can hold beat pretty fine, but I just don't like the premature dancing beats. Yeah. I just don't like.
That's how you know it's Andromedans. People ask about the Andromedans. They're dancers. That's another thing. That you know who the Andromedans have seeded because they all have the same. It's almost like a cloning system. They almost have the similar type of demeanor. It's a coding. It's coded in their system. So they dance well. They're very musically inclined. They love dancing. They tend to be very beautiful, very alluring physically. They have a very they're copper, but they look like the darker copper indigenous population.
Well,
they're brown, copper, with dreads.
She one thing is that she started reading me as soon as we sat down, after she finished her dance, and I was entranced enough,
Of course. Yeah, she put you under, she trained your mind. Yeah.
And I said, oh, she's reading me. And I could feel its telepathy coming through, so I went ahead and put up a shield. I put up a real one, a good one.
Yeah.
And I have no problem blocking out people. Most humans don't even have a good telepathy sense anyway. It's easy to block them. I put up my shield, and she crashed through it. Yeah. She straight crashed through it.
Yeah, she's got a strong.
And she did it with the move of her head and hair.
Ooh.
And I never experienced that.
Oh, you know something. Oh, wait a second, Barry. You know something. You just did it. Oh my God. I can't say it out loud because I want to know when an Andromeda hits. Family, there's something I'll tell you at the conference. I can't say it on the screen. If you come to the conference, Barry just blew a spot. There's something that he said that we don't say out loud, so I can tell who's an Andromeda and hybrid. There's certain telltale signs. You said it, Barry. Oh my gosh. Yes, you was. You just said it. Oh my God.
It's like right after that, I started looking at it, and she was so beautiful, and I said, and I got a degree in ethnic studies. I was almost done with it then. And I said, I can't place your race, your ethnicity. What are you?
You can't tell.
And, she looks at me, she says, I'm of black and Guatemalan descent.
That's an Andromedan. That's an Andromedan. Yeah. Yeah. They nobody talks about them. Yeah. They don't realize it was a matriarchy back then. That went during the cataclysm. People think it was a male-based society. It actually was a matriarchy that actually went inside. That's why they've got a strong sisterhood. These are they rock. Like Wonder Woman is a little bit of that. Like it tells you what the Andromedans are like. Wakanda, those warrioresses, the women together. That's the Andromedans. They're telling you the Wakanda women and the Wonder Woman women. You take that combination, just like she said. What she said, Peruvian and black. Said, listen, take the combination between the Wakanda women and the women of, Wonder Woman, those type of women, mix them together. That's what the Andromedans look like. They're that combination of that two bloodlines. They look like that. That's how they look. They've got the copper skin or the brown skin, but the hair is very, they have a dread, but their dreads are like, they're alluring. And they have no problem in training men. Yeah, if they want a certain man, but they don't generally mess with men. They don't really like men. They don't respect what men do and how they've weakened their women. They feel it's disheartening, and they don't respect women who allow men to entrain them. That's one thing the Andromedans will do. They will test you. They'll put a man in front of you and see how you deal with him and see if you tolerate some of his insidiousness. And they'll see if you're even up to standard to even rock with them. They test you. They do that consistently. They put you in your dreams. You'll go to battle with other sea stars. And this being, this Dominique being, I feel like this is part of the battle because she's about to be slaughtered. She's gonna go down illegal. She's gonna go down illegal flames.
Oh man.
It is what it is. Anyway, family, my battery's going low. Thank you for joining us in Aquarius Rising. Again, I apologize for this. Is probably the first time we've ever been unhinged in this way. Again, I apologize. I apologize because I don't think it was appropriate to really do it. But again, I have to address things like if someone comes with me publicly, you will know that I will always address it publicly. I always like a sound bite for something that goes down. So, it's no third party. You heard what was said. Nobody knew that what wasn't said. So I apologize, but I'll make sure, next time that I'll be more appropriate. I shouldn't promise that. I shouldn't have promised that. No, I can't promise that. I'm sorry. I take that back. I will try.
I didn't upset any of your.
No, Cori left. No, they're fun.
I'm in your audience right now.
They love you, Barry. No. They love you. Oz agreed with you. Oz was like, "There's nothing wrong with that."
I tell you, Oz, I like that old '80s song, "Hungry Like the Wolf."
Yeah. Oh, wait, someone asked me if I'm going to call Zora. I was going to call her, but she left the line. As soon as I said I was going to call her, she took her number off. So that's what I'm saying. Some people will talk a lot of ish. If she wanted to talk to me, she would have left her number on. I had, remember when they call in, their number's there. I told her I'd call her after the show. She hung up, so I don't have her number on. That's what I'm saying. So just know that when people say things and they act like they want to resolve things, their actions would show. She would wait and allow me to get her number or wait a couple minutes until then, but her number's gone. Right after I didn't hang up on her, I just took her off the queue. So, boom. But I'll speak to her. I don't have a problem speaking to Naima because I've known Naima a long time. And one thing I will say is that me and Naima started out together. She started on my first blog talk. She was there. So I think what happened is that she got caught up in other people's ish. And unfortunately, she showed that she's not really, she's not set in one position. She should know me. She should know how I rock and roll. You know what I mean? So the fact of the matter, she's that wishy-washy that she could jump ship with some dark beings, then it's a testament to who she is at her core. Because you could tell me anything. I'm not jumping on a ship with a dark being. I'm staying on the rainbow ship. I may act like I'm cool, but I'm going to stay on my rainbow ship. I'm not jumping. I'm going to stay on my ship, and I'm going to stay clear of any dark ships with any demonic beings. If you come around and you saying ish, then I'm gonna keep my distance from you and anybody associated with you.
Hey, wow, he's giving me another vision. Interesting.
Yeah. We're gonna talk a little bit.
Yeah, when you talk, you give me movie visions quite a bit.
Well, we'll talk about it. All right, family. Have a wonderful evening. I love you. Thank you for rocking with us in Aquarius Rising Ninth Gate. I'm sorry, Mr.Cori. I'm gonna have to apologize for the seediness tonight. Mr.Cori doesn't like all the seediness. He doesn't think it's very professional. But don't worry, I'll talk to Mr.Cori. All right, family. I love you. Peace. Have a good evening. I love this show.